Hey everybody, it's Real Jade again. It's myself, Jamie, there's Mr. Darren over there, and Derry as always up in the top left hand corner. Welcome. It's another week of discussing films and lovely drawings from our resident artist Derry. As you've hopefully heard on some of our social networking platforms on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and we're on Twitch at the moment. So all of those platforms, Project Lab _IE, because we're lovely Irish people. Search for us, subscribe, like the videos, get involved. We're just starting out. This is our 5th episode. Technically we had 6, but the first one was a private one. 5 episodes, and we're really just trying to build a sense of community, I suppose, around movies that we enjoy. We're not professionals, we're not certified diplomat, connoisseurs and everything. We're just normal people discussing what we love about these specific films, and then we have some talent up in the middle of the screen, which Derry will be performing for the rest of the night. So today's topic of movie is The Nightmare Before Christmas. We have Christmas. Is Christmas next week? In 11 days?
10 days, I was informed today.
Yeah.
It's next week. Next Friday. So, hey, perfect time to be discussing a lovely, perfect Nightmare Before Christmas. So, thanks again for joining us. Hop into the chat, comment, and get involved. And we'll be discussing the movie for next week at the end of the podcast. So don't miss out. Stay around. Stick around. So, this week was Darren's choice. And that was Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. So, what we'll do is I'll let you, Darren. I'll let you take it away, Darren, then for the summary of the film. Give us a little introduction. Tell us why you picked The Nightmare Before Christmas for this week's pick, and we'll go from there.
Cool. Oh, there's so many reasons, man, why I picked this movie. This movie just makes you feel great. Like fucking, it's all about just bring back so many good memories for me as a child. Like what's weird is when I watch it as an adult, there's so much stuff in it that should terrify you. Like, and we all know Tim Burton. Yeah, there's so much stuff that I would have never thought. It's done in such a way that it should terrify kids, but it makes them intrigues them so much more. What I said today when I watched it again, because I just wanted to, I was sitting down, and it's such a sharp movie that you can just stay and watch it, and you can around the background. Well, very few movies that I've ever seen in my fucking life have created, they've all just been worlds, or they've all just been movies. He has created a world. This is if you get what I'm saying to you, it's not just another animated movie. He has created something so special. This movie is every character, and I love every character, even the background characters. Every song to me is fucking, man, I walked out of the cinema when I was younger singing these new songs.
What age were you, Darren?
I was probably 10, man, when I saw it.
10? Or younger, I'd say.
Probably younger. I'm not great at maths.
I was about 9 when it came out.
Yeah.
I
was 4. This movie came out in 1993. I'm the youngest and most handsome of the bunch, so...
Did you see it in the cinema, Derry?
No, I didn't see it till a lot later. I actually saw it when a girl in my class brought it in on video for a little Christmas party we were having. Yeah. So it was probably the year after.
Yeah. So this movie essentially is about people that are missing something in their lives. People, creatures, whatever it might be. And it's essentially a lot of great, Spider-Man, love story. It's a love story. But these people don't realise that they're longing for something, but it's told in such a beautifully gothic, animated, just beautiful fucking story, man. Absolutely. And I may add that on the trees that they show, there is a shamrock. Say St. Patrick's Day is a massive holiday over there. It's so good. It's everything for me as a child that Christmas is about. When you see the Christmas town in this movie, it makes you feel that's the perfect idealistic Christmas, like white snow and and then the Halloween town is the best of everything that you knew from a child. Like all it was missing was like if you're from Ireland, is a child running across the road in a black sack.
Yeah, why is the black sack man in this Halloween?
Like as I said, everything in this movie, from every character, from every little detail, to the songs, to the settings, to the themes, to the second it starts, that iconic din 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 din. Oh man, like no matter what movies, I guarantee you talk to anybody in this planet and they will not know who Jack Skellington is.
I would thoroughly agree with that. And
like I mean, like the image, I don't even know if they know, like some people might know it's a character, but they would know the image.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And that's what I like about this film. And we'll delve into all of those topics. I think you're absolutely correct in terms of it's an iconic film. It does a lot of world building. It, like you said, it has this shamrock world, like that's one thing that I will talk about. But I was like, a St. Patrick's Day world. Oh my God, what a horrible place! Just people vomiting everywhere and just people getting into everywhere. Fights. It's like, I'm glad he didn't go. Yeah, the nightmare before St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, they just step in and it's Dublin. Whoops.
So I always thought it was like a Halloween movie, but I would have never pegged it. I know it's like, but it's the only movie to me that I've ever heard of being half Halloween, half Christmas movie.
Well, this is the debate.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a Christmas movie.
This is the debate. That it's the best of both worlds. I think it's the best of the Halloween world and it's the best of the Christmas world. So let's have a little bit of a discussion then. We'll go through some of the actors. Like we said before, it was made in 1993, or it came out in 1993, a long time ago. That was 27 years ago. 27 years old this film is.
You did not have to.
I was 7. I was 7 when I saw this movie then.
The way that I think about movies is how they stand up over the course of time. So for example, when I was born, 1989, 30 years ago from that date was 1959. If there was people in the 1980s watching films from 1959, then at the time there was something a little bit wrong there. People didn't watch films that far back, and people in the 80s and 90s watched films of that era. You got your Terminators, your Jurassic Parks, your Nightmare Before Christmases. But nowadays we can look back 27 years and say, or longer, even longer, back to the 80s, back to the 70s, and we can find some of the best movies. So, being in the future, we can look back at these ancient films. Like this is probably older than most people, maybe on Twitch, to be honest with you.
On Twitch, I would agree. Yeah.
So let's go through some of the actors. One of
the people on Twitch would be probably their biggest fan. Like all the people that are into social.
Such a culture around it.
Yeah. And like Darren said, it's even Jack Skellington's face. You see that face and you're like, Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't even need to see the film. It's on. Yeah. When we were younger, it was on every emo girl's bag, and they had badges, and they had the.
Tim Burton must be making, like, he must be till this day, and especially like the way, like all, because he's not just like in the film. They brought Kingdom Hearts out, and he's like, he was in that. Yeah. He's on. Like, Tim Burton must be making, and you know what, I applaud Tim Burton for sticking to his guns and getting it made. We'll go into that.
There's a big story about the backstory of it, but think about it this way as well. We have, in my opinion, the adult version of this world in Beetlejuice, and again, that's the first episode we didn't air, but that was a link, the snake, the little plasticine snake, everything. Right. So we'll get to it. So let's start with the actors. One of the big surprises for me is, do you know who did the singing voice for Jack Skellington?
Danny Elfman.
Yes, I do.
Danny Elfman. I did not know that.
You didn't watch what we told you to watch, did you?
No, I didn't. I purposely did not watch it. Because I knew the two of you were going to watch it.
Singing voice. Danny was in a band before he started and they just, like, Tim knew him, and Tim had there's a lot more to the story, but I'll give you the brief version. Tim had asked him to come on and like write some songs, and he was like, I don't write songs for movies.
I love that. Danny Elfman. I don't write songs, and it's like.
He was in a punk band or something, wasn't it?
What?
And he's like, I don't know how to score a movie.
I've never scored a movie. What are you talking about? Why? And it just turns out he's the greatest score artist of all time. Like.
The Simpsons. But, that's just, there you go. The Simpsons.
But it's weird because when, like, your man Chris, what's his name? Sarandon.
Sarandon. That's Chris's voice. They actually match up so well. Danny Elfman's singing voice and Chris Sarandon, great.
But like, I always said that Danny Elfman's, well, as I got older, his singing in it is not even so much singing; it's a performance, as way most singers are.
Let's get into the movie, because I think there's a lot of things to talk about the in my opinion about the movie and the way they actually do this movie. So let's have a chat about it. Like we said, Danny Elfman voices the singing voice of Jack Skellington. He also does Barrel, one of the little kids there. He also does the clown with the tearaway face. You know that my favorite character. Yeah, I like that. He has one line: "I am the clown with the tearaway face." And that will just stick in my head always. And then we have Chris Sarandon as Jack Skellington. We have Kathleen O'Hara, good Irish name there, as Sally and Shock. We have William Hickey as the evil scientist. They call him on IMDb. They have him just named evil scientist, but he does have a name, Doctor something or other. I can't remember it.
Doctor.
That's it. What is it?
The best. Dr. Finkelstein.
Finkelstein.
Yeah.
Finkelstein.
But the best character in the whole, to me, my favorite character in the whole, I could never say this when I was younger, but the best character to me in the whole movie, a lot of people agree with me, is Oogie Boogie.
Oogie Boogie's great. And who
Ken Page is just a beautiful man.
Ken Page, and that is a fantastic part. The music in it is fantastic, and the genre of music that goes throughout this entire film is brilliant. So
it's Motown to fuck.
Motown. Well, it's like it's old school, and I'll leave it at that for the moment. It's actually more music and more musical than it is anything else. It's more musical than it is a kids' film. I think it's more musical than it is a feature-length film. So we'll dive into it. Like I said, in 1993, we have the opening, and the opening is fantastic. Darren, you were talking about the music there in terms of dun 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 dun. Great.
No matter where you are, that music just like sitting down, and I'm after watching this movie like 4 times this week, but just the simple like as you said, it bum bum bum, and like even when the movies happen, I don't know if you realize, but that music is playing in the background in certain parts of the movie, and it just fucking everything in this movie added to it, man. Like, the whole I'm just gonna gush about this movie all fucking night, because it brings me right back to when I was a child. I'm like, I sat down and watched this movie, man, when it was on video. I got it from my video shop, and I would get my mother to go and rent it out so much that she bought it for me. And like, oh man, I watched this movie over and over and over, and like I could quote her line for line. But like everything about this movie, as I said to you, some of the characters, when you look at some of the characters' designs, they're horrifying.
Well, yeah, like even at the start of this movie. So when it opens up with this Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, it's one of those cool movies where it has that Tim Burton's, or like John Carpenter's or whatever.
Again, there's nothing else but like you hear that bum bum bum, and all of a sudden, then before you hear that, all you see, there's nothing fucking else. All you see is, like you said, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
And then we're straight into these woods. We're straight into the actual
straight
into the woods. No credit rolls. No messing.
What I will say, because they started with that opening musical scene, the opening song, they could have put credit rolls there and let the story progress.
Guess what's another movie that did this?
Beetlejuice.
Yeah. At the very start, the music started. They had a credit roll, but that's more of an adult film. This is a kid's film. Kids don't want to see a credit roll at the start. They can't even read, probably, half the time.
But in the original part that they had, what they actually... you know when what they didn't have any of that song. This is Halloween. It was later on in I think they were writing it at the moment. But when they showed that to test audience, I think they showed it to people in Disney. It went straight to the part where Jack comes around the corner. I was reading, and he flicks the coin in trumpet. You know, nice work, phone daddy. And you know,
the guy
he
with
walks
the
up.
chin.
Yeah. He hasn't been home all night.
That's a guy.
But you know, it goes straight to the song where Sally and him, not Sally and himself. You know, he's up on the and I Jack the Pumpkin. That big song.
Well, yeah.
Oh, someone there. That song.
Yeah.
But that was the start of the movie, and then he goes in and he finds Christmas Town. They said
this start.
I love this start, but either way it would have been fucking great.
It introduces, the way that they do it, so they bring the camera down into a circle of trees, and it doesn't need explanation. This is the best part of it. You're not sitting there, and again, because it's a kids movie, and it even does it better. Even if this wasn't a kids movie, if this was an adult movie, they still would have done a great job of introducing the movie. They have it sweeping down. You see this swirling ground of wood. It remember that film, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Tim Burton has taken all of his influence from that shadow play and the way that scenes are drawn, even down to the people. He's made the people match the terrain rather than the other way around. So all of this kind of distorted forest, it looks very I'd probably say like very esoteric. It looks planned, and it looks like there's something happening. And then we just circle around to a number of doors. Again, bam, straight into the explanation that this is Easter Town, and this is, Halloween Town, and this is, even just by the images of the holiday, we know straight away that, okay, well, these are trees and they have a door handle on it. They lead to these places that are obviously involved in these holidays. What a weird concept as well, right? But we don't even need the exposition for it. Imagine a narrator coming in and saying, there once was a place in the woods where, and you're just like, no, don't need it. This is done so well.
That's what Tim Burton is so good at doing. What you just said, Jim, what you keep referring to, he's so fucking good at world building. Like, there will never be, you can get close to this, but there will never ever be another Nightmare Before Christmas. No matter what they do, there will never be a movie like this. And the only movie to me got close to this, because when I was a child, I was like, I wanted to see what was behind those doors, each of those doors. The only kind of movie that ever got kind of close to that, because I'm a fucking freak, was Coraline.
Which I haven't watched it. Never watched it.
Oh my god!
It's after the year 2000. I'm fine. I have my Nightmare Before Christmas, but yeah.
No, Jamie, I promise you, Coraline. We won't go into that now. But like, I wanted to see, man, what was behind those doors, and like, it always bothered me that we never got to see. Like, it's like the movies now that are made, like Dumb and Dumber 2. Like, you want more, but you shouldn't have got more. And this movie is perfect.
Thank you. Right, that is exactly it. As a child, I wanted Jack to go into the other doors. I want to see what the other doors are like, and it was a mystery. And they reference what's behind one of the other doors once. And that's later on in the film, but never do they explain anything. And as a kid, you're basically shouting at the screen to go in these other doors, but the story just carries you along with it, and it just gives you enough for you to be taken along with the story. It gives you a little bit of mystery, and then it just takes you along. So
this movie was just made with just love and a fucking like a vision for this movie, man. Like, you can tell that he thought every second of every scene of this movie out, every character.
Here's the thing about this movie, because it wasn't directed by Tim Burton.
No.
Though he was the writer of it. It was Henry Selick.
Coraline's writer.
Oh, really? Did they do like a back thing? So Henry Selick wrote it.
I promise you will thank me for watching Coraline.
I'll watch it.
I wouldn't say
you enjoy it.
Derry agrees. I wouldn't say it's the only thing that I would even compare to like the Nightmare Before Christmas. If they did an adult version, it would be severely fucked up.
Well, see,
That's all I'll say.
here's the thing. Tim Burton. I lost all respect for Tim Burton when he started going after Alice in Wonderland, and that was me for that. Did he also do Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is where Tim Burton is a big letdown. You know, he had so.
Disney.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't have gone with Disney. Well, this is Disney. This is a Disney film, and this shouldn't. This is actually a Disney film of its own kind.
Well, Tim did he did Alice in Wonderland, but this Alice in Wonderland was closer to the book, and so his Willy Wonka. Now, don't get me wrong. I hated both movies, but my problem with him is nothing against Johnny Depp, but they need to get out of each other's fucking arses. Johnny Depp can
Johnny Depp ain't acting anymore for probably another decade or so, so that won't matter too much to Mr. Tim.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I didn't mind. I know the whole point when he did Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory, or sorry, was it Charlie and Chocolate Factory?
Charlie in the Chocolate Factory.
I like what he was trying to do, but at that stage it was kind of when it was coming out, he was trying to be different. And it was trying.
There you go. He tried to be different, and he fucking just conformed. He conformed. Yeah. Everything he rails about in all of his movies about, actually, in this movie, this is funny about this movie because everybody uses this movie as kind of like, oh, I'm very different, and I clearly like all this movie. This movie is about conformity. Okay, don't step outside your box. Okay, be happy where you are. Okay, so and that's the funny thing I find about these films, like The Craft last time. It was like this teenage film. It encouraged lots of women to be feminists and stand up for themselves. Yet it also encouraged them the right way to slit their wrists. So it's just those funny little things that I don't remember from that you don't get nowadays. That's the humanity in a film. Yeah, you got your small little hiccups, and I think films back in the 90s at the very least, an era that I grew up in, it made sense for those things to happen, where nowadays everything needs to be told. There needs to be exposition for everything, and if it doesn't make sense, then people are just like, no, I don't believe it. But you didn't need to back here. So
there has to be an explanation for everything nowadays.
But this is why this movie is great. So we're swinging around these trees, and we can see Halloween Town. The way the door opens up, this is all stop motion. There's probably a little bit of CGI in here, and that's all. The rest of it is all stop motion. Impressive, very impressive. We come from Ireland.
Was it not FMV instead of CGI back then?
Well, technically, this is 1993, so Jurassic Park isn't long out, I don't think, around this time, and that was CGI. Okay. But CGI wasn't new. They wouldn't have, if it was in this, it was in it for very difficult parts, like the ghosts and things like that, like translucent ghosts. But for the rest of it, are zero. Obviously he was CGI, but in bits. You could even tell that it was still stop motion for Zero. Yeah. But so
Tim Burton played Zero.
He was the nose.
He did, yeah.
What did he do? The bark?
He did the bark, yeah.
We get straight into the movie. Okay, now I'm going to say this all throughout the whole entire thing. We're already into the first act. It starts off in a little introduction where in most films you would expect to hear a narrator, but that doesn't happen. This isn't a film, it's a musical. It's a stage musical. And you know how you tell it's a stage musical? Because everybody breaks the fourth wall. They look directly into the camera, at the viewer, and sing at them, and encourage them into the movie, effectively. You don't get that in musicals. You don't get that in your Les Miserables movie. You don't get that in, I don't know, even in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which is, or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which is technically a musical. You don't have them look into the directly at the viewer. Whereas in this, it's all about the viewer and looking at them. So it's a very... Think about the context of the whole entire film. If this movie was done in the 1940s, with the type of music that they have in it, even at the end with that very jazzy really kind of old school bluesy
vaudeville.
It's an old classic musical on stage. You could put this back with actual people pretend that Jack Skellington, like you could probably, white a man's face up or whatever. I could see this being done in a really cheesy way in the 1940s.
It's an interesting point to make, though, because just as you said, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate, or sorry, you said Willy Wonka, it was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when Tim Burton did it.
Yeah.
There is singing to camera in that. And in Alice in Wonderland, I believe there's singing to camera as well.
It turned me off with
the dancing at the end, the Jabberwocky or whatever it is. I think that was.
But you know why that doesn't work? Because the whole entire worlds were filled with nothing but CGI. You could tell 100% that those people aren't standing in that location. So you know what? You're not brought into the film. I was repulsed. I was pushed away. In this, everybody's made a plaster scene, and it's fun, and things are whooshing past your face. To me, it seems like a big musical. So we're straight into the music, and I love the fact that they basically introduce you to every single character then and there. They actually show you Oogie Boogie. They show you every single character that you're going to meet throughout the whole entire film is in that song. Pretty much.
She was a banshee. I thought Sally was. I didn't know. I knew she was ragdoll, but I thought she was actually a banshee because
they don't know what banshees are over in America. They don't know what that is.
Yeah, but yeah. But the whole thing with a banshee is if you lose her, if you find a comb in the ground, as I was always taught as a child and terrified by my father, do not pick it up, because if you pick it up,
banshee's comb,
you bring it home, they'll come to your window, like that's an old fucking tale.
Yeah.
And I was always and forever, I was always finding combs in the ground.
Trying to entice you, pick it up, Darren.
So when I saw it, I was so scared I would never even buy a fucking comb in the shop.
You had all the untouched,
everything.
Really knotted hair for a long time.
But yeah, I always thought she was banshee, and especially when you see her and the wind is blowing and she's brushing her hair, and then it 2 or 3 lyrics later on the subtitles I was reading, it talks about banshee. I am the howl of the night. But I always thought she was I didn't realize she was ragdoll. I was like, oh, she's just a doll that talks. Okay.
She's like a monster's bride. Yeah, the Bride of Frankenstein kind of thing.
I made you.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, I made you, my pretty. So this is a very adult-themed movie. And again, watching this as a child, you would think that in those scenes with the doctor, it's one way, but as an adult, it's a very different way. So. The animated ghosts, the stop animation, it is done tremendously. And they have bats flying, into the distance, guillotines. All of the characters are all very different. You can actually pick out, there's the tropes in there. You got your undead clowns, you got your vampires, you got your... you don't actually have a Frankenstein monster, technically.
I would say Sally would count for that, though.
Yeah, okay, well, fair enough. You got your Skellington.
There's so many weird fucking creatures. Your man under the bed with the fucking spider in his hair, and the snakes in his fingers and stuff. Yeah. But even the child with his the big, I call him Pugsley because he has that striped shirt. Mm-hmm. But he has his mouth sewn shut and his eyes. That's fucking horrifying shit.
It is terrifying, and there's a lot of parts in this where.
You said it very calmly, Jimmy. It is terrifying.
Oh, I would wholeheartedly agree. I'm terrified to death. The characters are menacing looking, and all of them together, introduced in that manner, with an upbeat, catchy song that makes you want to jingle and chime along, I think breaks instantly the fear. If you had all of these characters come on screen one at a time, coming out from the dark, and to kids,
you would have never seen it again.
But that's the thing. That would have been a very different film, a stop motion horror film introduction, basically, and they could have so easily done it, explaining Halloween Town as a horror filled town, and then maybe weaved in straight into the fun. And don't worry, it's Halloween Town, but there's no. Fear to be had. It's all about the day and the event of it.
I've watched this with the kids, obviously, a couple of times, and what I noticed was we watched it the other day, and there was nothing like that. There was no kind of fear. There's no sort of oh, this is creepy. We watched Home Alone last night, and my daughter was like, "Oh, this is going to be creepy," and I said, "Why?" And she's like, "Oh, because the music says it's going to be freaky."
Yes.
Like that's all it was. It was the music.
It's kind of anxiety-causing music, though. You know, that slow bells, din din, and yeah. Okay, Marty, we're going to be the Wet Bandits.
As you said, because Nightmare Before Christmas doesn't have that like creepy music.
Yeah.
It's all upbeat. Excuse me. Then that it's not there for the kids. The kids just go, "Oh, this is just. It looks weird, but you know, everything's happy. Yay!"
It's kind of like that thing. I think when a child falls down, they look at you for reaction, and if you go, "Yeah, everything's fine." So in a film where they have joyous, happy music, they're introduced into the content. Reassuringly, it's like, hey, this is fun, don't worry. You know, and they did a nice introduction into the trees and showing the sparkly, hey, there's an Easter bunny thing, and it kind of brings you into the Halloween. And did this film come out at Christmas time, 25th of November? It's a Christmas movie. So again, it's around that time of year where kids are excited for Christmas and things like that. So they did a great job of merging two themes that should really be repulsed by each other. So even, like we were talking about, the music introduces the feeling of it's fun, and finally.
But then you see the fucking like, he's on like a wooden horse and he's been burnt. Like realistically, they set him afire, and I'm like, as I'm watching it as an adult, I'm like, that's cool, but also horrifying. But like. Then he does this huge, like he comes alive and he just does this mad flip. But I'm thinking all the while as an adult, this is all stop motion. So when he dives into the pool, I'm like, that's the flips was awesome, 10 out of 10. And then he comes up, like rises from the water. I'm like, you know what? I stopped and I was like, that's clap, well done, lads.
The effort that goes into it.
This is a West End production, though. I went to see Wicked.
Be a West End production.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that when, you know, things return to normal again. But this could be, again, the way that it's presented, the Jack standing, he's actually a very artistic. He's a thespian. If you think about it, the whole entire.
He does the whole Shakespearean thing, sure.
Yeah. But the whole 364 days out of the year, these people are preparing for a one-day joyous event where they get to celebrate themselves. So there's, again, nothing to be scary. We see these creepy skeletons and Sally and everything, but you know, it catches the right mood, and that is a great explanation, if anything, about how this world operates. You know, it defines itself within the first minute and a half. We're a minute and a half in, and we're pretty much through the actual, or sorry, 5 minutes in, I should say.
And we've met everyone.
Yeah.
And we met everybody. We've had the world explained to us. The world is built. We're comforted by the music. It's catchy, and we're actually the characters are staring at us in the face, so we're drawn into the film. You couldn't do a bad job. You could absolutely do a horrible job of that entry. Yet within 5 minutes, we're already there. You know, we're already engrossed in the world, and we want to see more of Jack specifically.
Yeah.
At this point, though, before we get introduced to Jack as the protagonist, we see Sally hiding in the trees, and her creator, which I'm going to speak a little bit on, finds her and is like, you poisoned me, you basically drugged me, and I fell asleep, and you shouldn't run away on me. This, when I was younger, I was thinking, okay, it's his daughter, okay? That's his daughter. He's created his daughter, and he's looking out for, no. That is an abusive relationship. Right?
Yeah.
He is being drugged by this much younger girl. She clearly has different interests, but he made her. I own you. This kind of a thing. You know, you got to stay locked up in that little tower I built for you. And
I would have said father, daughter, an abusive dad.
Now, that is refuted by the fact that later on, when he makes his second wife, she looks exactly like him, and they're match made in heaven. And then she goes to Jack, and throughout the whole entire film, Jack and Sally called each other friends. They always talked about each other as he's a friend or she's a friend. There's no, it's a suggested. So it's like this. She's in this abusive relationship. She's wanting to get out of it and be with a much more popular, much more get him type of a person, and she's being kept in this horrible relationship. I go deep into that when I was watching it because it just came off as kind of like that.
And like if you watch it, obviously a child wouldn't get that.
No.
But if you watch it, man, that's really right. It's not even like in the background. You like, and you have to reach for it. That's right in your face.
I built you piece by piece, and I own you because of that. It's like, wow, that's a big.
And she's like,
I think that's what Burton is really great at doing as well, is putting in those adult narratives that, okay, it might be a creepy story for a kid to watch, but as an adult looking at it, like Coraline as well. As a kid, it's just like, ooh, scary monster. As an adult, like I was a grown-up, probably with kids when I saw Coraline for the first time and went, oh my God, like it's terrifying. You know, just the narrative and the thoughts. And it's the same with this. It's like when you look at that narrative, a kid's not going to get it, but the adult watching it with the kid is going to be a bit more engrossed.
But I think
this is a running theme in Disney. I don't know if it's just because if Tim Burton wrote it like that, but this, like, you look at Disney and you look at Pixar and you look at like things. You look at like things like what's the Inside Out? That movie is absolutely heartbreaking.
What, Inside Out?
Yes.
Is that where you're one in the head?
Yes.
Oh, that was a horrible.
First time I watched that, I cried like the whole way through.
Yeah, I had to watch it. I cried because I had to watch it. It was horrible. Why did you like that?
Yeah, but there's right in front of you, like Up, the movie Up. The first couple of minutes in that movie is heartbreaking.
That's a good movie.
But that's put in front of you. That's like, this is what it is, and you know, this is what you have to go through to get the story. And it's a great story. But things like Inside Out, when I watched it first, I was like, oh, it's a good movie, it's a funny movie. And then I watched it with my daughter, and I got a whole other aspect out of it. I was like, I had a lump in my throat, like watching it, because there was such moments in that made me think, and even things about my own childhood.
If that was your kid,
yeah.
Well, see, this is the thing. Maybe it's because I'm not a parent. I don't have any of those maternal instincts or paternal instincts.
No,
like, I just did not give. I thought that movie. Well, let's not get onto a second movie because I'm going to rant about that movie, and that's something I really didn't like. But this is where this movie does a better job, in my opinion. There was too much setup, and there was too much faffing about, and there was too much exposition. How does this work? I'm this, I'm that. I'm your emotion. I'm your emotion.
I do agree with that,
this other person has the same emotions, but they're different, and they're all. It's just blah 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 blah. This, we're like 5 minutes into the film, and we've already gotten into the big topic of the moment, which is an abusive relationship. It's a kids' movie. We've already been comforted by the music, and now we're hardly into the first act, and it's basically bringing big topics to the table in a really, really well done way, really well constructed. You don't feel threatened by what we see on the screen with the Doctor and Sally. You know that there's some sort of a conflict going on there, but it's not too heavy-handed. You know,
it's not something that you're going to have to explain to the child you're watching it with either.
Exactly, because as a child,
just enough.
He's just a dick.
But this is the thing. He's took a trope. He's took a trope, which is a doctor and a monster creation, and turn that just enough for kids to think, oh, okay, I've seen that before. I know the monster. Like, it's the 90s, there's a lot of that kind of going around. And then you just turn it a little bit more, and then the adults get it.
But
it's perfect.
I think Tim Burton wrote this, and maybe it's just me. I'd say he wrote it in a whole different light.
Because I think it would have been more depressing, to be honest with you.
When he wrote this movie, he was obviously a lot younger, and it was fucking years before it was made.
Yeah.
But I'd say he wrote it. It was a lot more adult themes, and like what you're saying about the whole abusive stuff. I'd say there's a lot more of that in it, because if you've seen a lot of his, you've obviously watched the movies holiday movies that made us, and you see his drawings. His drawings are like they're fucked up, Jamie.
He was let go from Disney because they didn't know what the fuck to do with him.
And now they're like, please come back, please, Tim.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, this is the thing.
Didn't know what to do with him.
This is the world of Beetlejuice. This is the world of Nightmare Before Christmas. This is the world of Tim Burton's imagination. And that's what I love about this film. It has a running theme throughout all of his early films. You get these great, like, wow, it's a world that he's built in his head, and I don't need to know that. I don't need to have seen Beetlejuice to understand that this is a world of its own. And when I watch Beetlejuice, and then I might, like, let's say I watch this with one of my kids, one of my fictional kids, I watch it with my cat, then I'm thinking, wow, that's a great tie-in. Like, what it's like that idea works on so many different levels, from kids to adults, that you can.
The same world.
Exactly, it's perfect. And like we were saying, the snake from the sandworm from Beetlejuice and the snake in this. Like, amazing. They're the same thing. They look exactly the same, and two different contexts, they work. So, we're getting more into the film then. We have an understanding that Halloween is a big deal, effectively. They celebrate Halloween at this point every single year. Now, so, you know, at this point, this is where I would be questioning, but why? But the movie's too quick for that. See, that's the thing. The movie's an hour and 15 minutes long. I can't ask those questions. I'm already literally on to the next bit. It's not The Crow.
I'm dragged in, man. I'm dragged in.
Well, that's it. Like, it's not. No, I'm dragged in. I've been drug in. I've been drugging in.
Well, some of the dialogue, man. When like the swamp girl, she's like, you made wounds ooze and flesh crawl, Jack. And like some of the dialogue, man, is so like that
Stage.
wouldn't have worked for like even a little later on when they're trying to find Jack. But like some of the dialogue was written and it was perfect for each character that was there.
But it was a stage play, Darren. So we worked in stage. We know stage. You get your protagonist in the middle of the stage. You get your extras or your side actors coming in stage right, going out stage left, saying a thing, someone in the background, this and that. But your protagonist is the big man. And this is a stage play.
Jamie.
This is a stage. The whole world's a stage, Darren. But this is a stage musical. The more and more you see this, you'd see this. The way that it's framed, the cameras, we get the shot of the musicians and they're playing nice little music and it just works. All together. Mm-hmm.
Well, from the first time he says, like, he doesn't do anything. He just gives from his first words, your man says, he throws this coin in your man's thing and he says, nice work, Bundy. And your man says, from his first bit of dialogue, Jack's dialogue said, yeah, it was same as the year before and the year before that. You can already tell that he's fed up with it.
So this is the cool part about it. Well, I have a problem with the character of Jack a little bit, okay? And it's a little bit more.
Hang up.
Goodbye. I have a problem with the character of Jack a little bit, and it'll become more clear in the movie once we get to the end. But at this point, it's like he's a celebrity that his whole entire thing is about the celebration. It's about the act, and it's not about the gratitude that he gets from other people. It's not like he's looking at it. He's humbled. He's like,
Jamie.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my cat in. Come in, mouse. Come in. Thank you. You don't need to wait for me, guys. So the
Are you saying that he's like ungrateful for what he's been given, or is he just?
No, he's singularly obsessed with something that is overall good. He's looking for a reason to be in existence. I can't say alive because he's a skeleton, but he's looking for a reason for all of it. But he doesn't get that at the end, right?
Yeah. Is it not that old saying of you don't know what you have? Some people don't know how good they have it.
Grass is always greener. Grass is always greener on the other side, basically.
Exactly.
So he's clearly performed this every single year since, like, I don't know how serious to take the words of the songs, because he's talking about, like, I've done this and I've gone back this far and everybody's scared of me and all of this kind of stuff. You can make similarities between him and the Grim Reaper. We can say, this character, this icon of the skeleton is in, Mexican lore. He's worldwide, this skeleton creature. So let's say these are infinite creatures, okay? Just for the simplicity of it and my own mind, because then I'll be asking, well, what happened before the Irish invented Halloween? What did they do then? Everybody, we did it. Turnips.
We invented the Care Bears too, so suck it, everyone else.
We apologize for the Care Bears.
Care Bears were awesome.
So what I'm saying is that you don't, like I said, if I'm trying to look for a little bit more of a deeper meaning of the chronological history of Halloween in this film, I'm not going to get it. But we're already on to parts where I'm already questioning other things, like the character, which is a little bit more important, I think. I'm asking, why is the character like that? Why do they feel like they need something more? I think that's pretty much it. Like they're looking for this extra something in life, but that's
I think
where I'm kind of that's where I get lost a little bit. That's where I need to kind of
I don't think he was looking like the character itself. What I got from it was that he was missing something, but what he went searching for was the wrong thing when it was there all along.
Right, okay. Let's develop that idea as we go along, because I think I need convincing, and maybe you two guys will be able to do that, because I'm a little hazy on my understanding of Jack Skellington. So let's go ahead and see what's happening. So we see that
if you fucking enjoy, if you understood existence, whatever the fuck it's called, you need to understand this movie.
Love that.
I know. See, this is human emotion. Jamie's a bit more robotic. So.
Don't understand. Does not compute, man.
Here. This is okay. Keep going. Go on. Go on.
We see the protagonist. He's a humble protagonist. He's a tortured soul, and you know my feelings on tortured souls. He's sad about nothing. So whatever. Let's move on. But that's what I felt like in The Craft. They're all sad about nothing, effectively.
Where are we in the movie? Is this where he has to have his old song and stuff?
So he's just now going to the song. So he goes, "Hey, what's up, Bone Daddy?" That part has just happened. And if you're listening to this lovely podcast, by the way, we also you can view it. We have the
chime in, guys.
Derry and Darren can't see the movie clip that I'm playing at the moment. Maybe you guys should open up Twitch and then just take a look to see what scene I'm at. Because basically we're at the moon scene now, where he's walking into the graveyard, and we get.
This is one of the most beautifully drawn out, made up in even in Tim Burton's mind. I hope to God this is exactly what he had envisioned, because if it's not, and if he I don't think it was, man, I've seen this image more than I've seen any other image in my fucking life. This image with that curve on that mountain and that big huge oversized moon. Derry, you have to say, is this not the most beautiful fucking image ever?
It's the iconic image.
There's people who've had weddings to this fucking movie. They've had Nightmare Before Christmas themed weddings, which I didn't realize was a thing. And there's in Norway, there's a place where there's a certain hill that's curved like that, not as curved, but there's they put up this couple put up a huge backdrop that was nearly a skyscraper size of a moon. Wow. And they took their pictures in front of it. It was fucking amazing.
Well, all of this is taken from the visual from the visual stance of the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. All of these weird aspects about distances, about things coming off into a point. It's all, well, actually, this kind of mountain thing that moves, it looks like it's kind of alive. Reminds me of a Beetlejuice thing as well. So it's this combination.
Yeah. Isn't that a Tim Burton rule? If it's a right angle, that's a wrong angle.
Hey, well, there you go.
I think that's like one of his rules.
That makes a lot of sense, specifically because it's German impressionism basically.
Yeah.
So it's very abstract, haunting. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but in the context of it all together, it makes a very abstract picture. I love all of, like, you can watch the entirety of A Nightmare Before Christmas and you'll see all of these angles. You'll see the shadows coming down into weird pits, like the way that the ground is curved and angled and everything.
I've swept a very brave stuff there, feet. Like even taking off his head and the whole, like they were saying to Shakespeare, like it's all done so fucking beautifully. Like as I said to you earlier, there's not one, that's very rare for me. There's not one song in this movie that I don't love. I love every single I love even the music, the background music of this fucking playing. It's so fucking good. It's so good.
But like I said before, it's an old musical style. That's not a 90s musical style. That's not the 80s. It's not the 70s. You got to go back to proper classical Fred Astaire, or these, like you said, vaudeville kind of, or vaudeville kind of big epic films with like dastardly villains with little rapiers and stuff like that. This is the type of music is hearing those.
We've been saying that for years. Myself and Derry have been saying that for fucking years. If we had all the money in the world and we could make that, we said this a long time ago, that we would put this on stage. This should have been. This is so made for a fucking stage musical play. It would have been. Like, I can't understand, because it's Disney, especially with Frozen being on stage and stuff. I can't understand. This is like something that's like an underlying gold mine that should be done on stage.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that if they had already done that. I've seen a lot of interpretations of it.
They never did. They have the characters at the meet and greet and stuff, and like the characters are great. And, like, but they never had the stage show. And I could never. We obviously, myself and Derry had a conversation with this ages ago. This would be a sellout show. It'd be.
Oh, Darren's gone.
Anyway, yeah, it would be amazing to put on, but expensive. Like, wow.
Well, expensive, yeah, but I don't think you'd be able to do it necessarily in terms of doing it properly. Like a Jack Skellington, the guy is like a stick figure. You know, I think you'd be able to get a lot of the sets to look fantastic in it. The way that you would transition from set to set would be fantastic as well. But that's what I'm talking about. The film is basically based on an old musical film, like a stage theater. And where did those old musical films come from? Stage. So it's a great introduction for people, I think, to musicals at a young age, effectively, with some really good concepts. But all of these concepts can only be done really in that kind of a musical. A lot of the exposition, let's say, is done in music form. You know, it is done through singing.
Yeah, and there's a really good reason for that. And you haven't seen the documentary that we were talking about on Netflix. The reason for that is it took forever to get a script. There was no script. This guy that they hired was not writing the script. So they just said to Danny Elfman, just start writing songs. These are the main areas of songs. Just start writing songs. So in essence, Danny Elfman wrote the movie because his stories, when they eventually fired the guy, the scriptwriter, and got someone else in, it was basically just the dialogue is stitching together the songs.
And that's a pretty cool way of doing it if you think about it. Overall, the steps of the movie itself are fairly traditional. You know, hero, he's like an unwitting hero. He gets himself, he's not even a hero. He only becomes a hero at the end of the film. And that's what I have a problem about the character, effectively. The fault, he doesn't have any faults, and he doesn't really have any personality, and he, you know, it's difficult to like him. And you're just presumed to have to like him. But 90% of the film is just him doing what he wants to do. Until literally the 10% where he goes, oh no, I've been doing it all wrong all along.
Yeah, no, and actually I totally agree. Like, you watched this when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, I watched this when I was a kid.
Yeah. I did see it when I was a kid, but I was pretty bored by it, I'll be honest. And I know this sounds really weird considering my previous picks.
Right.
This should be like top of my list of movies. I was really bored by it because by that stage, Dark Crystal was my favorite movie. So Nightmare Before Christmas was like a step backwards for me in terms of like kids horror. So I never kind of got into it. So the only time I started paying attention to it was as an adult. And like you said there, it's like, why do I like this guy? Why am I supposed to like this guy? You know?
He isn't a likable character, in fairness. He doesn't really have any things to be positive about. And even at the very end, he basically turns around and he's like, oh, all this stuff happens to me and I always get it wrong. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to take my revenge. I'm actually going to steal Christmas. And I'm like, wow, God, you've made a drastic turn there.
Yeah.
So we're going in while Darren is, sitting there frozen. Oh, he's still alive, everybody. He just freezes up sometimes like that in real life. It's a lament. I don't know actually what the name of the song is, but it's a very sad song that you wouldn't get necessarily in kids' films nowadays either. Everything has to be a very upbeat, or even if it is sad, it's very flashy. This is a very slow song. This is like a sweeping song, and there's not a lot going on if you think about it either.
Like, if I think of, like, I've seen a lot of Disney movies and a lot of kids' musicals at this stage, and you're right, like the slow songs and the sad songs, there's still something very dramatic, and it's still that Disney stage musical sort of vibe of it, where you still get the like big, it's dramatic and it's dynamic and it keeps you engaged, whereas this is much more kind of melancholy, which you wouldn't be used to. But even now it's still like, it still explodes afterwards, whereas
that's in the voice. It's not the fact that the moon is huge and it's glittering in the background, or he's on this mountain, or Zero is flying around him or anything. It's the character, the voice brings the scene up. So again, I feel like if it was a Pixar movie, they'd be driving through the city and things would be happening. Even though it's a sad song, they'd be like maybe on a skateboard or whatever, and they're like doing flips and kick flips, and there's people zooming past, and
much more kind of dynamic and engaging.
Exactly. Like the audience has ADD basically. So at this point now, we get more confirmation that Sally is kind of infatuated with Jack. She's kind of stalking him a bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. He doesn't really know anything or care about Sally at this point in the movie.
Yeah, and that's another thing as an adult watching the movie. You're kind of like, girl, move on.
Right? It's like you've gone from this really crappy abusive relationship to basically falling in love with someone that doesn't even know you exist.
Yeah.
And really the only real way that he knows you exist is because you get yourself captured and then he saves you. If you weren't there, it just would have been him and Santa.
And he just wants you to make his clothes at the end of the day.
Right? He's like, yeah, you can make my clothes, bitch. I love that part. I just want you to make my clothes. So I'm sorry. I'm trying to coax Darren into unfreezing. By the way.
Oh no! Okay.
His internet went. What I'll do is I'm going to because as much as I love that face, oh no, that's his banner. I'm gonna. There you go. I'll give him a little bit of dignity. So he's not half into sneezing basically on the stream.
Oh.
So
So where are we? Where Sally is looking past the gravestone.
Well,
and again,
Sally's
just big doe-eyed and kind of like, oh, he's so amazing.
Well, that's the thing about the movie. That's basically all she does. Like, think that he's so amazing, and what a fantastic guy this Jack is. He basically leaves the town. He's like in his own head the whole entire time. He's very artistic, and again, that kind of reminds me of like this thespian. He's self-obsessed.
Yes.
A bit. Yeah. I know a little bit about that. I can speak to that. He's just like, what? Like, all these people find me so brilliant in the town. I'm the most popular person. The mayor is coming to me asking me for advice, and yet
it's so boring.
But it's so boring, exactly. Like, really, what's the point of me living anymore? And again, it's that part where I'm like, ooh, a little bit narcissistic, Jack. He has a little bit of an anger there, but we move along, and again, we're only about 10 minutes into the movie, and we've already had about 2 songs. 2 really, really, really good songs. And I have to say, all the songs in this are pretty much amazingly well done. For the most part, I could pretty much sing all of them.
Right. Go ahead. We got time.
DMCA, I'm sorry, we'll get taken down. I was clearing my throat.
Yeah.
Skip that one. So, we have the love interest already introduced. We see the infatuation all nicely summed up in 6 minutes. Congratulations, Tim Burton. You've done it again. I think we were about 10 minutes or something like that into Beetlejuice, and same thing.
You know exactly where you stand and kind of where the story is kind of heading.
Now, you couldn't do something like that within like The Craft or The Crow or anything. There's a few more concepts going on in there, but that just tells you these kind of films with high concept ideas. The Craft did a better job of it by lowballing it and keeping everything no exposition, where The Crow gave no exposition but no meat. And Nightmare Before Christmas does a great. You know what? It pads it out. The exposition is in the music that you're singing along to, and you've learned the story. By the time that he basically goes into the forest, like he basically wanders off into with Zero, and Sally is having a bit of a whinge. Not really too plus that she has to probably go back to her abusive, wheelchair-bound psycho husband, and decides to poison him. Snatches up a few little bits off of a grave and goes to poison him again.
Obviously a regular thing because she has, assigned jars for these ingredients.
Right? It's like, oh, how am I going to poison him again? And it's like this weird, again, one of those relationships where you're like, I think both people need to get away from each other. And she's clearly wanting to do it, and he's just being a really creepy, over-lipped kind of doctor-y guy. Jack goes into the forest, and then the mayor calls the next day. And I love the mayor. That spinning head of his.
Yes.
What a cool little, I suppose, characteristic for a character to have. For, I suppose, the mayor to have. He's a two-faced politician.
Yeah, exactly. An interesting commentary on.
Right? And even like his faces change depending upon the emotion at the time of whatever event. Again, not a lot of development needed to be done on that. It's just that that's a fun character. All of these characters are really fun, and it's not like I need to know any more about them.
That's it. And as a kid, that's just a really cool, interesting thing. As an adult, you're like, I see what you did there.
So, yeah, well, two-faced politician. Again, that's not something I thought about until I was watching it now, like the other day. But very well done, and again, adult themes in children's films actually work really well in them because they're abstract enough for kids to think that they're fun, and kind of on the nose enough for most adults to get.
But it's why Disney are so successful because I mean, for a kid to watch a movie, you want the adult to want to watch the movie too. And to watch it again, and to watch it together, and to over and over. So you need to have those adult things in there, and those things that keep parents engaged, because that's what's going to make the child interested, which is going to make the parent buy the stuff for the child. Well, so Disney have that formula down.
Here's where I think modern films have gone the wrong approach, because what they tried to do then was where they were thinking, right, we have films for adults that kids can't watch. And then we have films for kids that we need adults to be interested in. So they need to be intelligent, but really they're for kids. You know? So how about we take the movies that are for adults, dumb those down enough that kids are allowed to watch them. They have... The characters are adult characters. The themes are adult themes, but it's all so diluted that kids are allowed to watch them because it's a PG-13, let's say.
And that's it. And Deadpool is a classic example of that, of like Disney taking over and wanting Deadpool to be like a PG-13 at least.
But that was a big story, that it was an R-rated film. Like back in the 80s, every second adult film was an R-rated film, and nobody had any problems with going to see those. I still
judge a horror movie by the rating it gets.
Like a PG-13 horror movie, you're like...
I'm like, no, I don't want to watch that. If it's an 18 or an R-rated or whatever the country's rating is, I'm like, yes, I need to see this.
I say R-rating, it's 18s over here. Like when you went into the video shop and you seen that little red octagon kind of a thing, you're like, ooh, an 18s film. And they always had like 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy. There were always those painted portraits or caricatures of the actual actors on the video art, which I thought was really cool as well. And they always attracted me as a kid because I was like, wow, those look really cool and there's lots of stuff going on. The films were never like the cover art because, you know, the explosions and everything don't happen all at once. They happen over, of course, a period of time. So, we move on to the mayor trying to knock in at Jack. And... Sorry.
Thought I lost you as well. I was like, I can't do this on my own.
So
Darren is like wiped out.
Darren is wiped out. Sorry, again, I've lost my co-star here, so it's I'm have to support all of this on my own, everybody. Episode 5, I'm in the sweats. So we move on to the mayor. So we find out that the mayor, literally the day after Halloween has happened, going, got a plan for next year. Like, Jesus Christ. I know, I kind of empathize with Jack at that point. It's like, for fuck's sake, can we just not like have 2 minutes without Halloween? That would have been a fun concept. Not have him go to Christmas Town, but just have him being pissed off at the whole Halloween thing. You know, he doesn't actually leave for the forest, but he's just like, I'm sick of Halloween. Let's just not do it this year.
Actually, yeah.
That would have been the adult version, where he just sits around and drinks all day. Conflict. The mayor flips out and falls down a bunch of stairs, which is great because he rolls down them. Jack finally, after wandering for hours and hours and hours, finds himself in the middle of this forest, and he's like, oh God, I must have been asleep, I guess, or not even realize where I was walking. Now, we're straight into the forest with all of those cool doors on the trees. So this is where we get a little bit of a what happened in Existence. So remember when they went into the game and then they were given pods to go into another game, but in that game they ended up coming back to the video shop that they went into the game in.
Okay.
That's what's happening here. So how did Jack go from Halloween Town to Earth? Like, he needs to go to a door. Like, is this Earth? Or does he have to go to the Earth door? There's no Earth door. So is this Earth where he is? So which door does he go into to get to Earth?
It is Earth, as far as I know, because doesn't Santa say peace on Earth and goodwill to all men?
But
that's when you get the clue, maybe it's not just this magical land.
But if he's on Earth, then so are all these trees in different forests around the planet?
That's the weird thing. I can't answer that.
These are the questions that I ask. Darren needs to be here to answer these.
He's back here.
For him to say, you're taking it too seriously, man. I'm thinking, right, I'm in the middle of, or 15 minutes into this kid's film, and I'm thinking, are they even on Earth? So we rush along to him scanning through some of the doors. One of the doors is a Valentine's Day door. What the hell is happening behind there? Am I right?
Pornhub theme.mp3.
Right, I bet that tree opens up into Italy.
Italy?
Yeah, they're known for or France.
Okay.
Are people too modern now not to know that, like, the French and the Italians are all world famous lovers?
Okay.
What do you mean? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a
As a woman, would you say a French or Italian man would be the world's greatest lover?
I mean, the Spanish kind of have that reputation
right?
Too, but we're definitely digressing here now.
We are digressing. This is what happens when Darren isn't here. We don't get to talk about the movie. I just start rambling
about
on.
sexy men instead.
Sexy men. Let's talk about some sexy Italian men. So ultimately, we move on to him coming back to the Christmas tree. And popping into the Christmas tree, we get a little hint of the music. Bum 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 bum. This is why, again, it's a musical, like a stage musical. You get that kind of the setup for the song, like the setup for Sally's song we've already gone past that when you know that when they were playing the three guys.
It's less songs and more themes for each area, or each emotion, or each character.
Exactly. Like something like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, you don't necessarily get that a lot, except for and that's a running theme throughout the whole entire film. But for the majority of it, when a song happens, it finishes, and then we're on to the next bit. Whereas this, the whole film is contained within all of the songs within the film are hinted to before that, and are kind of each character's theme almost. You know, like this Christmas song is almost like that kind of Halloween song. It had the same beats and everything, so it's kind of Jack's song.
And I wonder, is that more a testament to Danny Elfman's inexperience at the time?
Maybe, because
like, as we were saying, he pretty much shot himself when he was asked to do this, because this is the first thing he'd ever done, aside from punk band.
I love that.
Well,
I love that. Like, he was in a punk band. He's like, I can write a children's film.
Yeah, you got to go back and watch that documentary. It's really, really interesting. But
I feel bad now. If I had watched it, I'd see. Maybe I should have watched it, because Darren isn't here any longer. We don't have the content. You can tell me all about it.
But yeah, like, it could be a case where he went back and watched as many musicals as he could to kind of get the feel, and maybe that's why it has that old musical kind of
absolutely
formula to it, I guess.
Because technically, at this point, what musicals had come out in 1993? You are looking back 30 years for proper classical musicals.
Yeah, like you're still only looking. It's really only Disney doing it at that point.
No, and that's why I don't think the songs in this are not kids songs. They're old adult, like. They would be Fred Astaire movie types, or, you know, something that your parents would watch. The music in this has that style. You know, like a gangster movie at the end with the casino and Oogie Boogie. That's not a kid's song. You know, you know, that big band music and stuff. You don't get that in songs for kids, especially not in the 90s. So that's maybe a really good point, that Danny Elfman trying his best to do a good job with emulate these kind of musicals at the time, or the popular musicals at the time. So we're straight then into Jack falling into the tree. How did they get out of there? Anyway, okay, now I'm just being facetious.
He's asking questions again.
Where's the ladder, Derry? He fell out of the sky into a load of snow. How did they get out of there, right?
I had much more answers for the craft. I do not have the answers. Sorry. This is Darren's territory.
I'll just ask you about the craft. We get a fantastic scene of Christmas. I think it's probably one of the best Christmassy scenes in a movie. I think it's just done so well. Mostly elves, but it doesn't spend a whole lot of time on anything specific, and it kind of just shifts you around. Like, that's like, you get to see that once pretty much for the whole entire film, and it sticks with you. And that's kind of your bit of Christmas, basically. You know, came out in November. That's your little bit of Christmas. What do you think about that song? Do you like it?
The What's This song? Mm-hmm. I love it. I like it. It is the song of the movie for me. And I don't know, I think it's his turning point, I guess, as well, as far as story goes.
This is pretty much the end of, coming towards the end of the we're pretty much in the start of the first act. or second act.
Like it's where
we're towards the end. Sorry, we're towards the end of the first act because basically, yeah, this is where we're seeing Jack come to the realization that this is what is missing from his life.
Yeah, there's more out there. There's more. Like I love the way he's like looking under beds, going, "Oh, there's no monster under here," and you know all the things that he expects in his own world. But he doesn't quite. You know, he sees that there's color and brightness and stuff, and the whole song is basically his eyes being opened.
I'm going to get you to call Darren, and I'll keep on chatting away. Darren, get your Darren phone out.
You could hear me from my front door. I'm not gonna lie.
I believe he's on Skype again. You just might need to give him a call.
To add him in.
Add him in, and we'll do some jiggery pokery as I walk along there. So yeah, effectively, we're down towards the end of the first act, and we kind of have our character inspiration effectively. What I do enjoy about it is that it pretty much ends on a song. It's a really good song. This is where I start to probably not like Jack as much, because then he basically is trapped in a bubble of his own people for the whole entire time, and he sees this place as a wonderful place, but his instant thing is that it's like this conflict that this movie has where they say terrible in a positive light. So they get that parade was simply terrible. Oh, it was gross and everything. Yeah. But then they use terrible for things that are genuinely terrible. So it kind of gives me a misunderstanding of, is Jack happy that these things are missing from under the bed, or is he does he like the safety of this Christmas place, or does he think this is a great look for my thing? Like, is he stealing it basically? Is he pulling a Thomas Edison?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. Especially like when he starts kidnapping, it's like I'm taking
over my kidnap Santa.
Ooh, yeah, I'm going to take this now.
But that's the thing, like,
yeah, but that's when I really start to go, why do we like this guy?
That's pretty much it. Like at the start, you were thinking, oh, there's something lost in his life, and clearly, he clearly is sick of Halloween. But then he just goes to this other place and goes, I know how to make it even better by stealing these guys' idea.
Yeah.
So when we get to the next part, it's a very long song. I can't actually. Jesus, that was about 4-minute song, and all of the songs are pretty long in this actually.
Yeah, but I think that's a lot to do with, like I said, them not having the script. The scriptwriter basically just went, no, not doing it.
Yeah, just make it up as I go along. Like, I can have an 8-minute song if I wanted, effectively.
So, like, Danny Elfman basically wrote. I think he might have written the lyrics with Tim Burton, actually. I'm not sure.
He did. He must have written Simpsons before this, but that was like a TV series, I suppose. It wasn't that.
The theme. Yeah. Yeah, because it was the score, I think, that he said in the documentary that he was more worried about scoring a whole movie. Like.
Yeah. Well, that's a massive undertaking, especially if it's like you're the only person doing it all. When the mayor basically goes around and I believe he tells everybody, yeah, Jack's gone. We're missing Jack, and everything is horrible. Jack comes along eventually. He speeds along. Oh no, wait. We're just before that part. He's looking around for Jack, and then we get Sally, about to poison the soup. So we come along to her basically gathering some of those herbs that she had gotten a little while beforehand.
Deadly
nightshade and frog's breath. And I love her, like, all of the mixing of the soup and everything. All of this really well done. This kind of stop motion animation. The sounds, the little bits. The way that she actually walks.
Said that actually sounds, because that was something I actually missed in this movie. I don't feel like there's a lot of Foley work done in it.
What do you mean?
It's not too obvious if there is. I just think there's a lot of places where you would expect to hear things. And I think where it first struck me, my last watch, was when she takes the thread out of her arm.
Mm.
And I'm kind of like, you didn't hear anything there. You know, you didn't hear like a thread running through something, or and that kind of struck me for the rest of the movie. Then I was like, there's a lot of like little action sounds missing throughout.
Yeah, and do you mean like these people that are? I think I've seen like documentaries about them. The 2 or 3 people like in a room watching the film, and they have like a pair of shoes.
Oh yeah,
where
like
people are. Yeah, exactly. 2 coconuts, right?
Yeah, the Foley.
What are they called?
It's a Foley artist.
That's a Foley artist. Wouldn't that be a great movie to write? It's a movie about 2 Foley artists.
I'd watch it. I love that.
That would be a really good film. I'll write that down, everybody. Don't steal my idea.
But that struck me. It's just when you said sounds there, I was like, it's interesting that you said that, because I found it the total opposite. I thought it was a lack of those kind of sounds.
And it is quite a silent film in every other respect, really. Like you said, there isn't a whole lot there. The sounds that they do are really well done. But now that you say it, there is a lot of silence in the film.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Is kind of, maybe does it add to it? Maybe it certainly doesn't take away from it.
It's not that it's silent, because there's like ambient music or whatever, but there's no ambient sounds.
Yeah.
And there's very little. Like after I realized that there was like a bug running across the floor, like quite a large bug.
Yeah.
And you could hear the little scuttling noises, but at the same time it was really, really low.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, that's something I think you should actually hear, and that would be much more effective if you heard that going across the floor,
Well, again, I think the way that technology has come across, you can actually emulate the way that sound goes across and everything. Like, that would just be done so much easier nowadays, where back in the day, you'd probably have to record, like, that sound specifically. You wouldn't necessarily be able to digitally emulate that kind of a thing.
But it is still done physically. A lot of it is still done manually. So, and especially like something like Nightmare Before Christmas, which was very physical and very like traditional methods.
Mm-hmm.
It's unusual that, to me, it feels like they kind of fell down on that. Like they didn't think about that as much.
Exactly. And again, that's where I think, you get kind of a corporate angle from it, because there's a lot of these things where they go, look, we can do without it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure if more time was to be spent on it, what they should do is kind of a remaster. Well, didn't they do a remastered version?
Well, I don't know. I watched it on Disney Plus, so whatever I watched was the most recent.
Yeah, like you think those are kind of the things you want to be remastered, to upscale, to add in small little bits, little background noises. Those would be really good remasters,
yeah.
But they generally don't go that way, and they end up probably, we'll just take out that character, or we'll change the way he looks completely. That's a remaster.
Yeah.
So we get the cool part, and I always liked it as a kid, the spoon. So we're into Act 2 now. We're about 18 minutes in, and we have that Franken doctor being served up that soup that she was basically making for him. And he goes to drink some of it, and he's like, yeah, I want you to try it first. I don't trust you. So she goes, yeah, why not? Okay. And then drops the spoon, and then picks this spoon out of her sock. It's like she's done this 150 times before. Like, she knows the trick. She's like literally planned it out. Like, she probably even knew that he was going to tell her to drink some of it. Like, all of this is kind of assumed, but it's like she's just going through the ringer.
Yeah.
And I like that. It's like the world existed before we came into the movie, and I always like to see that in a movie where you're like, yes, this is a routine.
Yeah.
We don't need her to be there going, oh no, I need to make the soup really quickly, and then putting a spoon with holes in it in her sock in the kitchen or whatever.
Yeah.
Or taking out the trusty spoon with holes in it. It's just all there.
And again, it's Tim Burton not patronizing you.
Yeah. No patronization.
This is the story. You can understand it from this much. You don't need me to patronize you with dialogue.
So, after she takes a faking sip with her holes in her spoon, she goes num 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 num, And the doctor goes, yeah, fuck that, I don't even need a spoon. So just completely gulches the whole thing down. Delighted for it. And then he's going to have a little bit of a snooze afterwards. I love the vampires in this, by the way, because they have like little umbrellas.
I love it.
They're so creepy the way they move around and the way their heads and everything move. Like they get every character really well done. The witches in this are really well done as well. Yeah. None of them are human. And funny thing about this is it kind of reminds me of that cartoon Peanut with Charlie Brown.
Oh yeah.
Is it called Peanut?
Peanut.
Maybe it's just called Charlie Brown. You never see the adult's face.
Oh yeah.
Like you hear the voices in this one, but you never see the adult's face. You see all the kids' faces. You see Santa's face. You see everybody else's face, but it's always like, even there's a part in it where the presenter is like reading the news. You never even see her face, which is I always thought was really fun. And it kind of made it feel more like a kids movie as well. Not actually ever seeing an adult in it.
Yeah.
Technically. So Jack arrives back. He comes back with all these presents and he calls a town meeting. And the whole point of it is that he wants to find out, technically, the meaning of Christmas. Jack wants to find the meaning of Christmas. And he does it in a very cold and dead and scientific way. But we have the cool little song beforehand where he's talking about Sandy Claus. I love that part. So he's up on stage. He's talking about how there's this wonderful place with these little people that run around. He kind of tries to at the start he's like, this is a present and it has a bow and everything is nice about it, and all the audience are like, okay, what's in it? Is like, is there a head in the present? I don't understand anything. What the hell's the deal with the bow? So nobody likes it, and Jack is trying to convince all of these people to go along with it. Again, it's not heavily implied, but it's like he's not doing that for their benefit. He's doing that so they'll just go along with everything. He's not like, this will make the town better. There's no reason for him to do any of this.
He's like Mr. Halloween. So for him to suddenly break away from that, like, he needs everybody on board.
But nobody in the town has been like, Jack, you're disgracing your background and I can't believe you're doing this and you're turning the town upside down. Everybody's more than happy to do it. It's like they're sheep, and Jack... Nobody is injured by the fact that Halloween is a thing. But Jack seems to have this thing where he's like, no, it's me. I need to change everything. I need to change everybody in the town because I feel that I'm missing something. So he literally goes out of his way to lie to people effectively. Like, that's the other side of it. I don't know whether Jack knows whether the thing... Like, there's a difference between good and bad.
Right, yeah.
Do you get me? Like, I don't know if he knows he's the evil one out of Santa and him.
Everybody's the hero in their own story, right?
That's it. Like, they never explain... Because this is where I get down to the fact that them calling everything terrible, meaning great... raises the question that when they say, we love to scare the shit out of people and frighten children... Do they think that's equal to, like, Santa giving presents?
Yeah.
Do they think that their contribution to the scare is actually like, oh no, that's a good thing?
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think it backs you up when they are giving the presents and what they give as presents.
But here's the other side of it, because their understanding of what a good thing is, like, Jack is trying to emulate his vision. He was there. He's seen Christmas Town. He's seen exactly what he wants. Whereas everybody is seeing it through Jack's lens. And they think, okay, well, like a wooden duck with razor sharp teeth and bleeding eyes that chases you around your house on Christmas Day. Yeah, I'd like to get that. That like, they're not putting it in there out of malice.
No.
They're not going, haha,
Exactly.
this will kill children. They're putting it in there to gift them the fear or the love of fear.
And he's going around the town going, "You're welcome."
That's it.
You know?
Good. There's launching fireworks. Whoa, you nearly hit us there. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, in their world, there is no good or evil. Like, they are good for all intents and purposes, but they don't understand the difference between good and evil, where Santa does. Like, and again, this raises more questions.
Not go this deep into that movie.
What?
I did not go this deep into the movie.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, Jack's interpretation, like his worldview is that there's no wrong or right. The world that he lives in, no people are starving or there's no poor people. Like, there's no reason for him to feel bad at all. He's sad for no reason at all. Sally's probably the worst off out of everybody. She's like being abused. She throws herself out of towers.
Unrequited love.
But it's like she is like this dead look in her eyes. You know, she's like broken. And again, over and over again, we see the theme for her being a broken woman. Falling apart, but she's like,
literally,
she falls out of the tower later on and she starts like stitching herself together, no bother. It's like,
and
I've been here
thing.
before.
It's like picking herself up, putting herself back together,
right.
You know, so there's it goes both ways. She's a broken woman, she's falling apart, but she picks herself up and puts herself back together.
But that's what I'm talking about. So
actually because now that I've said that, there's the first part where she loses her arm. And he has it, Finkelstein has it, but he has to sew it back on her.
Because he's in charge. But she knows how to sew and how to do all of this. Like I said, that's the controlling.
It's an interesting...
That is good. I like that part. I didn't think of that before, because like she's bound up in this like table thing, isn't she? Like at that point, I think that's earlier in the movie.
It's the first time that she unthreads her arm, but he's the one that puts it back on her.
And he
that's
does
an
say
interesting
that.
Dynamic shift.
I'm the only one that can put you back together. I made you, like that's the thing. Like I made you who you are effectively.
Watch this from a very different point of view the next time.
I'm putting an adult spin on these children's movies. So we get Jack then effectively, and I don't know whether Jack knows that he's lying, because he basically goes, oh, there's this guy, Sandy Claus, and he rules with an iron fist, effectively. He makes all his slave elves go around. But, like, he does a pause before saying that. So he kind of goes, okay, I'm kind of losing him here. I got to up the ante. So he goes, he's Sandy Claus. Trying to make him evil. But Jack knows that's not... Well, he technically doesn't see...
Can you hear me?
Oh, I do believe that's Darren.
Oh. Darren?
It may be.
Oh, look, it's Darren back again.
The voice in the wilderness.
Oh my God, someone's killing him. I can't see you yet. Oh, you're coming in. Oh my God, you're like a bunch of boxes.
Let's just turn it.
Potato!
I'm sure the audience will bear with us while we try and get Darren's blurry picture in here.
Fucking hell. This camera sucks.
Oh wow, that is a sucky camera. I'm gonna leave you out of the camera, but you need to chime in, because I'm getting Derry into some existential crises here.
He's been asking me questions that I don't know the answers to.
Okay, no.
Good?
I got your back, Derry.
Thank you.
I don't know what happened. My phone just the internet, electricity, everything just went off here. I was like, I don't know. I thought it was just myself. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Now it looks like I'm at my house that's been bombed, and the fucking camera looks like it's smoky and just all over the fucking place.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm here, and I will talk as much as I can, but go for it. Sorry, Jamie. Sorry about this, lads. And audience, whoever's watching.
Yeah, you apologize to the audience. You know what? They were sitting here waiting we actually didn't say anything for the last, 40 minutes.
I I will have to suck that audience's dick right now.
Suck that audience's dick. Get on that D. So, we're up to the part, we're at Act 2. We're about 20 minutes into the movie. We've already we've already gone through a few bits and bobs. We were basically talking whether Jack understood what is wrong and what is right, like what is evil and what is good. Does he believe that the fear that he gives to children and people is that equal to what Santa gives to people in terms of presents?
No, I think that Jack is very selfish, but he doesn't know that he's selfish.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like everybody's a yes man. Like Jack wants to turn Halloween into Christmas. Yeah, everybody's for that. Why not?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no hardship in the town. There's no like Oogie Boogie is some guy that never comes out of his casino. Basically, he just sits down there.
But what is Oogie Boogie? I never understood.
He's the boogeyman.
Right, but is he just a bunch of bugs, or is he? What is he? Because like
he's a sack of bugs, and no, actually, I think he must be a bug. Well, Sally crushes him. Is it Sally that crushes him?
No, Jack.
Is it Jack that crushes him?
Yeah, and Jack.
Yeah, like someone crushes a bug that's been like, I'll get you, Jack, or whatever it says, and then it stops talking. So I assume that it's a bug, but also Oogie Boogie eats bugs. So I don't. Maybe he's the collection of bugs. Maybe it's like the collective. He's communism. I totally agree.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, go on. I just believe. Yeah, I believe that Jack is very like the character. Whether it was meant to be like that or whether it was not meant to be. I think he's very selfish because he is only, like you said, they're all yes men because he's only concerned about. He's not even concerned about bringing it in, like the way they do it in the film. He's like, I want to bring it to them, and he's also like, when they don't get it, he's like, all right, I have to spin it in a way that will get what I want done.
And that's what I was literally just asking about. Is he trying to lie to these people to pretend? Like, does he think that, like, does he genuinely think that Santa is evil? Like, because he talks about like him ruling all over these elves and things like that and making them do things.
He's just spinning it in a way that he knows that they'll get on board with it. Like, he calls them, instead of calling him Santa Claus, because Jack earlier on in the movie calls him Santa Claus, but then he changes it to Sandy Claus for everyone.
To make it sound more gruesome.
But I don't know if he genuinely thinks that that's his name, because he never calls him Santa. He always says Sandy. Like when he brings him, he goes, Sandy Claus.
What I got from it was that he's spinning it in a way that, because when he's talking about Christmas Town to all of them, and they're asking, is it? Sometimes we got a sock and we hang it on the wall, and people pop up and the song starts.
Is there a foot in it?
Yeah. he sees that that they're not getting the whole. At this stage, he doesn't really understand what Christmas Town what it is either. So he's just like, he knows it's not what Halloween Town is. He knows it's not horror, and even though kids are throwing snowballs instead of throwing heads. So, but he knows it's not what Halloween Town is, but he knows he has to spin it in a way, like Gary said, that's more gruesome, that's more horrifying, that they'll understand and get on board until he understands. That's why he goes off into the loft and tries to figure out what it is.
But why? Like, if he knows that this is a nicer thing, why does he go back to Halloween Town and think, yeah, this is what we need to make Halloween, is Christmas?
No, because he wants it for himself. As I said, selfish. He's trying to take it and himself. So he's trying to take it off. But the fact that he tries and he acts like he's giving Santa a night off.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can
Santa can't take a night off on Christmas Eve.
I'll do it all. But I think it's just as it's a selfishness in all of this. If we see something that's really like meaningful to us all, we don't want to like help out. We want it for ourselves.
And also, we want other people to agree with us. Like, this is like one of those films where it's like this group mentality that people have. There's a lot of themes going on here. Stepping outside your box. The group mentality that people can be twisted in such a way. Oh, excuse yourself, Darren.
Sorry, Corona. I'm out of here, lads.
You got the coof. He's dead. So it's like the Twilight Zone there, Derry.
Sorry, I realised that my light is bouncing off all the graphite.
Yeah, I'm back at this phone.
Oh, are you back?
I'm back on this sexy phone here.
Oh, let me get you back up on the screen. There you go.
What?
Bula bus.
I could be gone in a second, but we'll enjoy this space while we can.
Like, you're worrying me because I'm right across the next row over. So if your power goes, then I could be right after you.
I could be left talking to myself here, everybody. I guess it's another 3.5-hour podcast. So we just me talking about my feelings. So we get Jack trying to convince everybody. Thanks, Darren.
I'd hang up.
Yeah, I know you would. So Jack.
Gary is what we call in layman's terms a bitch.
A feisty bitch. We get Jack trying to convince everybody that Sandy Claus is this evil person that needs to be captured or basically emulated. You know, I don't know. The logic is lost in this kind of little bit, but I get it. He's trying to say.
He's just telling the lads like this is what I found.
Why doesn't he just go and bust into Christmas Land and just be like, "This is ours"?
Yeah, it's just something because he was looking for something, but he didn't know what he was looking for was Sally.
Right, but that's a thing, because she really didn't like. We were already talking about this. She went from like being in an abusive relationship to like doting on this guy that doesn't even know she exists. And when Jack finally realizes that, hang on a second, I can't do Christmas very well. He even says he's done it all wrong. Well, might as well just go with Sally, I suppose. That's the alternative. Like, if he did Christmas really well, Sally probably wouldn't have gotten a word in edgeways. Yeah. Is it edgeways or edgewise? I've always wondered. Edgewise? Edgewise. So we then get Jack going up to his tower and experimenting on Christmas. So this is where I kind of had a bit of a chuckle because I thought, right, Halloween. I'm not a big fan of Halloween. I know a lot of people are.
Barry likes Halloween.
Yeah, a lot of people like Halloween. A lot of people like it over Christmas, and I find that very sad.
All Christmas... of my family, man, that's like kids, and they've got it from Amy. Amy fucking loves Halloween. Celebrates it more than Christmas, and I can't understand it.
Forget the baby Jesus and everything. Santa.
No, to each his own. Look, man. As I said, because I have the kids here and Amy, and I love that they love it so much. So I try and do my hardest to celebrate with them, and they just have to put up with me on Christmas.
Well, there you go. You get to have your Christmas then. But I'm a big Christmas lover.
Me too.
I'm
a lover, not a father.
That is so. When I think of Christmas, and this is kind of what I liked about this film as well. So Jack doesn't know what Christmas is. He hasn't grown up with Christmas. So he's superficially seen Christmas Town, and he doesn't know the feeling of Christmas.
He's only been there once.
He's been there once. It's like I've gone to Spain, so now I'm going to make every one of my friends be Spanish. We're all going to celebrate Spanish holidays.
Yeah.
It's like, those friends that come back from a 2-week vacation and they're like, yeah, we're Italian now. And I'm like, Jesus.
We're part American.
Yeah. Well, that's just Americans. Well, they're full Americans.
I didn't realize that till I was in Florida, and I thought that was like a thing people talked about. Oh, all the Americans think they're Irish. They fucking do. Sorry, no. And for any Americans watching, I'm sorry, it's just
here we go now.
My experience that I had, and they just some security guard in Disneyland was. It's funny we're talking about Disney. Some security guard.
Can you make a disclaimer of like all these views are my own and are not associated with it?
I might agree with these, so let's hold off on that for a second.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say.
Family tree and how they were like. He was like, I never met this guy before, and I thought Jeremy Beadle was going to come out of the fucking woodwork. But he was like, oh, my ancestor would have been from the southeast, and they would have been the Malones. I was like, is this guy from... Not only that, he turned around and said to me, my granddad would have been from the southeast. His name would have been like, his name would have been Edward, but they would have called him Teddy. My fucking father's name is Teddy Malone, Edward Malone. I was like, I said to Amy, this is not happening right now. What the fuck is... And then he, like, everywhere we went in the park, he was there. I was like, so, like, then he was
my Malone sense is tingling.
I must fall over to you in Waterford. I'm like, please don't. And then I heard off everyone, he's like, oh, these people just do show up at your house, and they do. Like, dude, if he showed up, like, I don't care. As long as he's not a serial killer, I'm fucking not going to end up as lamp. I'm okay. I don't care.
I don't know. He's an American. That's where all the good serial killers are. And just saying, you got a good streak on that, American.
Like, no, but as I said, that was like a myth that I heard. All Americans think they're like, who the fuck would want to think they're Irish?
That would be funny, though, if he turned around and he goes, Ireland's a small place. Do you know someone named Teddy Malone? And you were like, no. Oh, no, wait, that's my dad.
That's my father.
That's my father.
I don't want to admit he's my father.
Teddy Malone was my dad's name. So we're getting sidetracked. So we'll get into... So Jack is trying to find the meaning of Christmas, which I just kind of find...
I wasn't on.
We didn't get sidetracked. Actually, what we did was we got down into a rut of whether Jack knows what morality is.
Yeah, we went all like existential again.
When you're not here, Darren, I just talk about
silliness back to us.
Bring the silliness back.
And the
American.
beer. And the beer.
Beers. So, meaning of Christmas. Jack is reading all of the Santa books. He knows about Christmas. This is a good definition between having a knowledge of something and understanding something.
Yeah, very good.
My dad gave me a good example one time. He said he working in kitchens. There was people that practiced in a kitchen on how to make a dinner, and then there was people that went to college that read a book on how to make a dinner. And you wouldn't want a dinner from them because you can read all day and night about how to do something, but whether you experience it, and like I said, the meaning of Christmas...
Such a clever fucking man. That's like the best analogy ever.
We love Ted.
That's my Teddy. That's my Ted. So
he's 150 million% right. You wouldn't want someone made... Like, you can read a book all day, but unless you have someone that actually has made it and practiced it, like, you know what I mean? Like, go on. Sorry, I can fucking talk to that all day.
Everybody could. So, but what I'm saying is that that's the difference between waking up on Christmas morning and having all the presents there and seeing the family. Like, that's the feeling that you can't explain to people. Like, you know, it's easy enough to say, oh, it's a day when you wake up and you get lots of presents, and that only conveys like a bit of it. It's the excitement, it's the hype beforehand. Like, that's what Jack is trying to basically do in getting baubles and sticking them into beakers and boiling the beakers. He actually gets out a book. I have it here, a little still from it. He gets out the book. It's called The Scientific Method. It's like, you can't do that to a feeling.
Yeah.
You can do that with Halloween, in my opinion. You can say, ooh, it's scary, and, you know, we know how to scare people. X, Y, Z. Right?
No, I think it's the opposite. I get what you're saying about Christmas, but I think on the opposite end of the spectrum, I think it's the same for Halloween, for people who just feel it. And, like, we have Christmas movies. And, like, you have obviously a movie, Jamie, that you're like, when you think of it, you think Christmas, you're like that fucking feeling of watching it, sitting down with a cup of tea, coffee, a beer, whatever it is, sitting down as a child. People have those same feelings about Halloween, about horror movies, sitting down, or maybe cartoon Halloween Like I have Halloween Town. If anyone has ever seen
It's
Halloween
the
Town,
weather. It's the kids going around dressed up. It's the face
and
paint.
it's,
You can explain all of that though.
yeah, but
You
it's
can.
all about feeling. It's like
It's
and then again, people have it the same. Like people have it with autumn. Like they love fucking autumn and love autumn movies, and they have. I didn't know all this.
You see this
here's
crossover between autumn
in
lovers and Halloween lovers.
in the context of the movie, let's say,
Yeah.
I would make the argument that Jack's understanding of Halloween is what he's trying to do with Christmas. And I
Christmas.
would agree
Yeah.
with Halloween in that aspect. So for example, you know how to scare somebody. You can write a horror film, but you can't necessarily write a film that gives someone the feeling of Christmas without embodying the feeling of Christmas within it. Like I don't need like you can't I can make a Halloween film without it being a scary film, and I could easily avoid scary topics. But it's really difficult to make a Christmas film because I would make the argument that Christmas is a feelings based, it's about giving and it's about love and peace on earth and all of the good stuff. Halloween is, in my opinion, not necessarily, it's a day of tricks and treats, and it gives you this as a perfect example. They plan this parade and it's a big flamboyant thing, and the rest of the year they don't do anything else but plan. Whereas Christmas in Christmas Town, it's all about building for that day, to give hope and joy to children. And nobody's agreeing with me here, and I can see the faces.
No. No, I agree and disagree with you. I think, man, look, I know people in Waterford, where we're all from. I know people in Waterford and in America who I've been in contact with, who plan for Halloween more than they plan for fucking Christmas.
I didn't put up my decorations yesterday, and even that was like, oh, do I have to?
There's people who actually have. I have seen bigger, like they have Halloween parades in places. I have seen, like I put it like this.
It's amazing.
Yeah, see,
In Cork, it's amazing.
we're going to. Well, I say it now. We have planned to go to Disney Planet.
Disney Planet. They already bought a planet.
We were planning to go to Disney World in October, early October. So we're there for the whole Nightmare Before Christmas thing. I was like,
there was a Nightmare Before Christmas.
Well, it was, yeah. But like, I know people who plan not all year, but like a big chunk of the year around their Halloween parties and their, like some people would, like I agree with you, Jamie, in the whole, I'm a big Christmas person. But I know on the flip side, a lot of people do Halloween parties and they're like massive, massive parties. Like they're massive, like they do Halloween presents. They do Halloween
costumes. I get that. Like, yeah, but give me a Halloween and I'll give you a New Year's Eve party. Like, well, what's, we're splitting hairs. A party's a party's a party. It's a Halloween theme party. You can't have a Christmas theme party.
So what you're doing is you're only thinking of like, well, but you wouldn't put Halloween decorations on New Year's. Oh, look, we're getting to here.
Well, yeah. Look, some people like Halloween. Some people like Halloween, and then some people are right. I'm just going to put it that way. So, moving on, we see that I both agree and disagree, and I'm neutral.
I'm just going to say nothing to drink my beer at this stage. Stop there. Stop looking at me. Those big eyes.
So, defend it, Derry. Oh, so we.
I've known you long enough to not take your bait.
I am a master baiter. So
he's a master debater. I've seen
master debater also. That's when I clean up afterwards. So we get to the part where the awful husband, has like a sack on his head of ice, and that's never worked, by the way. I've had many hangovers and it's never been cured by that.
Never. A bag of ice.
He's gotten poisoned basically, and now he's getting really pissed off. He's basically like, will you just stop knocking me out? Can you not just be subservient and sit there and do nothing all day and just shut the lid? What's that?
This is the second time he's been knocked. She's like, what did she give him? nothing's more suspicious than frog's breath.
Yeah, that's the when the spoon with the holes in it. Yeah, you were gone during that part.
But that's even fucking like that's fucked up that she did she had to do that have a spoon handy with
she's like been there before. It's like she's been like, okay, she knows that he's going to try to ask her to it's kind of a little bit messed up.
What does he say to her to oh yeah, do you want me to stop? I'm like
yeah.
Kind
when
of.
I heard that, that's fucking hard. That's awful. Now I'm seeing it. What's worse? I watched it four times this week because I just love it. But I'm thinking now and I would have never thought until you said because I'm childlike wonder. I'm Michael Jackson here.
Whoa, that's a big thing to admit live on television.
Yeah, I would have never thought any of the whole abusive relationship stuff. And now I'm looking at him saying, "Holy fuck!"
She's his servant. She's a servant, and she cooks his meals.
And
I gotta starve. But she gets locked away as punishment in her room.
Yeah.
And again, she's been there before because we see her sitting there, being a bit sad, locked away. Jack comes along, and now is tasking the doctor with making the reindeer.
Yeah. Their construction should be fairly simple.
I like the way that they have then they're making use of their really good characters basically.
Yeah.
So Jack again, completely oblivious.
Yeah.
He's
like you were saying, even as I said to you from the very start, even the smallest characters where he has the guys in the band, for fuck's sake, the head in between the guitar.
Yeah.
They play Jingle Bells,
I love that.
Even the smallest characters, man, are fucking used, and I love. It's so your man with who I love. One of my favorite characters is the guy with the fucking axe in his head, who he's like, "This is a nutcracker."
Yeah, he's like,
I'm like,
just looks at it.
This has a fucking axe in his head, and he's just really all this kind of shit,
Yeah.
Fuck, there's some serious That's,
you don't need
you
to.
wouldn't think it's Israel, but I mean, a fucking axe in his head is still in his head,
Hey, it's 93. This is 93 Halloween. Things were 27 years ago, Darren. Nearly 3 decades ago.
Get over it, Darren. Get over it.
Shh, go back to sleep. We're not old. We're not old at all.
I'm 16.
Oh God, I never want to be 16 again. I'm like a 19 kind of a person.
Yeah.
19, 20. I can go there.
Give me my 20s.
Yeah. I'll skip the marriage bit, but then after that, clean sailing.
Yeah. How dare you talk about my cousin that's a fucking asshole?
Oh shit! Come get me, bro.
Okay, let's move on before dangerous territory.
Get a little bit of incesty in here.
Yeah, let's move on.
So we get him. We then get Jack ripping Teddy's apart. This is what I'm talking about. When he's cold. He has no understanding of feeling. The people in this town don't understand feelings. They show their emotions through saying horrible things like that was ghoulishly terrible and then frightening people.
I always mean, Gary will appreciate this, and Jamie you might. I always maintain that the mayor is like a manager in a retail store, a supervisor. He has to answer to everyone, and when he has no one to look after, he's like, "Where's Jack?"
Jack.
He's constantly looking for someone to fucking.
Well, I was just saying, he's a two-faced politician.
But this is totally it. But I have to say, because it made me laugh, because it made me think about the store that we both worked in, which will remain nameless.
Yeah.
About some of the supervisors that were there, but they had they were two-faced, but they had no clue. So anything that didn't go their way, they had no fucking clue what to do, and they were like, "Oh my God, I don't know what's happening right now. Help me! Someone fucking make a decision for me."
But didn't he go? I'm just an elected politician.
I'm just an elected official. I don't know how to make decisions.
That's it. But like again, it's like who elected this person? Anyway, again, that's just where my mind goes. I'm like, God, the polling must have been horrible in that town. Who would like?
Does that mean good?
Yeah.
Good.
Opposite town. Opposite town.
Opposite town. I mean, yeah. Oh, it was terrible. See, that's the confusing thing because then they say things are terrible and they mean that they're terrible. So I'm like, make up your goddamn mind here, show.
Terrible is good.
Terrible is good unless you mean terrible, which means bad. I'll make a new word. Bad wrong. Badong. So we get Sally mixing up a little bit of juice for Jack, a little bit of brew for Jack,
and a fishbone for some reason. I don't know why.
And yeah, it's like he's not going to eat that, is he? It's a skeleton. That's like his relation. There's no meat on there. Anyway, the attempt of her to fling herself out of the tower again is like she has a basket outside where she like loosens down the food. It's very process orientated. It's like I said before, she's been here before. She knows how to get out of these places. She can escape. She is just wanting to look after Jack. She goes to Jack's place, passes by the three musician guys, and I think they get some of Sally's song in there as well. Like I said to Derry earlier on, like their songs run throughout the movie, and that's why I think it's.
That's what I said. Yeah, they're like it's an underlying the song while it's playing while the fucking movie's happening. It's beautiful.
But that's why I think it's more stage. That's why I think this is done as a stage production because you have those running themes throughout the whole entire movie, and then you get the big song, you know, the big crescendo at the and it's lifted up by the singer, by the character, not by the set or anything behind it.
The whole movie is building. It all builds everything, like from the start of it to din 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 din. It goes big song, but no matter what's happening, it's always building to a big fucking duet or a big song or and obviously at the end of it where they have the kind of fucking blues number. But it's just.
But that's what I like about it. Like I said, you know, you can ask all these questions about. Like, I am one of those people that likes to think, okay, let me work out the world that they're living in, so at least I have a kind of a cool understanding of it. I have my own personal understanding of it. But the movie doesn't allow you to do that necessarily because, like you said, it builds on itself, and it builds on itself so quickly that you're kind of on to the next part before you're questioning these sorts of things. And again, I know it's a child's film, but what are you going to do? I'm too old now. Too old to look at it from these old eyes. So I have to question these things. But, you know, in questioning them, we find out that these, you know, characters are pretty fucked up and being abused. Again, we get to the part where Sally's jumped out of the window and she's basically just sewing herself up.
Like, that's what I saw. I was like, I read something earlier about the what did I read? It was like the suicidal scene in Night Before Christmas. Like, what's it? I was like, I thought there was like some secret scene. I was like, oh, and all of a sudden you see her jumping out. But when they said it works if you play music. So they played Nothing Compares to as she's jumping out. But you see her going towards the camera, and I was like, and they slowed it down. I was like, oh my god, that's so bad. And you see her, but you don't see her hitting the ground, and she jumps up and she hits the ground and she just stays.
Yep.
Like, and then her arms and everything. Like, what's worse about it now as an adult, which I hated, the fact that I'm looking at it like this now, I'm like, that's
ruined it.
That's, oh my god, that's heartbreaking.
Actually, there's a really good. Okay, so maybe Derry would know this. You know one of those world famous pictures of that woman that jumped from the Empire State Building and she ended up in the car. But her body looked basically untouched. Have you ever seen that picture?
No, actually.
She was called, like, her face was still painted perfect, like 1920s, and she had flung herself off the top of a building. the way that she landed is like, I believe, like this. So we're taking a little bit. Those of you that are watching at home, feel free to join in. Google suicide lady picture. 1920s maybe. Put a little bit of context with it.
Oh wow, okay.
So
drinking.
So the way, oh no, maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. Okay.
Evelyn McHale.
That's it. Evelyn McHale. The Most Beautiful Suicide, it was called. Very, very awesome picture. I'd watch it. But it reminds me of that. You know, that kind of... She's fallen, like, Sally has fallen in this picture, but she doesn't look distressed. She doesn't look uncomfortable. You know, it just makes me recall that. I don't know if there's any similarities between that in my own head, but there you go. So she starts to sew herself up. She's filled with like loads of leaves and everything, which is a bit unusual.
So hang on a second. Oh my god!
The Most Beautiful. Yeah.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
No, but it looks like a painting. Is it? I kind of feel horrified that I'm like
attracted to that lady.
Yeah, but no, yeah.
Yeah, no, but no, yeah.
No, but I mean, like the fact that it's a beautiful picture, and then you think about what actually has happened.
But that's what I'm talking about. You're saying earlier on, you slow this Sally falling kind of down. You put a little bit of music.
Yeah, it's all about perspective.
And that's what I was talking about, where the film builds on itself so rapidly in it doesn't bring anything down in the film. Like when she jumps out of the tower, the music in it isn't actually that sad from what I could remember. No. It's not a sad music.
Not at all.
You know, it's like a clumsy, you know, that kind of like, oops, I've fallen out the window.
The next thing, she's like sewing herself up, like putting on gathering up, get her basket, and she's gone, like.
But that's what I was saying while you were gone. It's almost like we were saying she's sewn together, so she's a broken woman, she's falling apart, but then she just picks herself up and puts herself back together again.
It's a year after fucking ruining this movie for me.
Hey, and if anybody in the audience has any suggestions that I can ruin, or we can ruin
anybody else,
I can watch Elf, and I can make that really sadistic and sad.
Hey, back off.
I'm coming for you, Elf.
Just back off, Jamie Flynn.
Back off, man.
John Patrick Flynn, back the fuck off of Elf, right?
Don't you forget the Blaze in there.
I'm gonna pick Elf.
Don't you dare pick Elf. I don't want to watch Elf at all. I like Will Ferrell, so don't ruin Will Ferrell for me.
You don't ruin it for me. So like, is this when she walks off and she has the basket of the fish and I don't know if she has alcohol, if she has drink, whatever the fuck she has.
Yeah, it's like a little like this kind of perfumey thing comes out of the bottle when she
with the butterfly.
Yeah, so she brings the things to Jack. I'll kind of go back there. So she brings the
question. So this is something actually you're probably talking about when I was in hell. What is the deal with the visions?
So that's the other thing about it. They don't explain it, and I think it's just that's another thing that I'm talking about. Like these aren't necessarily like they're implied. It's a mythical world. There's magical things. She can see the future for some reason in flowers. And that's cool. Okay. Why not?
I'm down. Sorry, I'm not.
I'm down. Man down. Medic.
I've already said that. No, sorry, I have to charge the phone.
So, Jack gets delivered some lovely little things in a basket that he basically gets delivered by Sally. Again, like I said, he's being cold and dark and calculating, and then lovely Sally comes along to brighten his day with a package full of I don't know, yeah, like alcohol, I guess.
That's what
and a fish bone. Thanks, Sally, for my fish bone.
But is that for zero though?
You know what? Maybe that would be nice, but it's not never. It's not like there's a note in there.
I'm just going to agree with you right now. Just forgot talking.
No, because yeah, like I think that would make sense, and it's not. But that's like it's not unreasonable for the movie to do things without having to explain itself. And those are the good things about the movie. Oh, Darren's gone.
Oh.
Darren's dead again.
Oh, so I'm gonna have to talk again.
You're gonna have to get in. Get on in, Derry. So, oh yeah, let's talk about that fish. You know what? That reminds me of something biblical someone told me one time.
So, this is the way it goes when Darren's not here. It's like straight away we talk like religion and existentialism.
So now we actually get to a really kind of a part that we can have a chat about. The part where Jack realizes, or no, he doesn't even know that Sally delivers the food as far as I'm aware. He looks down and there's nobody down there.
Yeah.
Here's another perfect example of her kind of creeping on him. Not in a bad way. I don't want to say creeping as in stalking him, because she's not really stalking him. She's there as a helping hand. An unseen force, like a helping force, effectively. And that's sad in and of itself.
Yes, it is.
But again, doesn't necessarily come across in the film unless you really have a look at it like that.
Yeah.
Which I do. So this is where she sees the vision of Christmas being bad. Poof. So a little kind of a flower turns into a Christmas tree. Looks gorgeous. And then it ignites into fire. It's at that point we basically see, oh, is Darren back again?
Back.
Dude, hey! You're in the ether. You're in the sky blueness. We're literally just talking about the part with where she's actually seeing the future now, where she sees the Christmas tree.
The tree and the burns up, yeah.
Yeah. So the vampires in this are really cool. Again, I'm kind of loving the vampires. They remind me of Michael Jackson a little bit with the little umbrellas they carry. Michael Jackson did that a lot, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, he had an umbrella.
Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ, Derry.
Sorry,
do you even know Michael Jackson? Like?
I'm not as like super fan of Michael Jackson as you two are. Am I out of focus?
No, you're in focus. Jack has a plan.
Is this for hang on a second? Is it when he comes out finally and fucking tells everyone Christmas will be ours?
Basically.
Yeah.
He finally discovers that what was it that was it. So he's bringing a doll, he's looking through a book. He then sees a picture of himself and he's like, what am I missing?
The viewer shows a picture of himself and he turns into there, like he sees that he should be Santa Claus. He should be wearing a suit and he should be doing what Santa fucking does.
Does a bit of an Ace Ventura where it's like that thing flaps over.
See this guy got it.
So yeah, turns himself into Santa effectively. He's like, yeah, all this black, I could do without that. I could do with a little bit of red for myself.
Put on this suit. Fuck it up.
He does that really cool song then, and he starts basically saying, yeah, I'm going to steal Christmas. Again, I'm kind of getting mixed feelings from Jack. I'm like, one minute he's like, oh, feel sorry for me. I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And then he's like, oh, no, I got it. I'll just steal Christmas.
I'll just steal this thing, yeah.
It's like it's not like with the intention of the Grinch, you know? It's not like he hates Christmas. He just loves
Christmas.
The idea of Christmas so much he wants to steal it.
And I guess that comes down to that he doesn't really realize that that's wrong.
But that's what I'm talking about. Where is his morality? Does he not understand? Because like when he captures Santa, he's like, don't worry, like this is perfectly fine.
You can have a night off. Like.
It's like he has like a social deficiency in that kind of like that. Wait, he doesn't have a brain. I can't really say any part of his brain, but
yeah, but he doesn't think he's doing it wrong. He literally thinks that I'm going to take over and I'm going to do this. You take a break. I'm giving you a break. So he thinks he's doing something really, really good, but until he obviously fucks it up, he doesn't realise.
But he does an evil cackle.
Yeah.
He's like, ha ha! I'm happy.
But could that just be like the way that Halloween Town people laugh?
Right? I don't know. It's confusing. They don't stick to things. Terrible is good and good is terrible. I don't know. So, oh, someone's vibrating.
Oh, not me.
Not you. Oh, actually, this is the part where he convinces the doctor to build the reindeer. I think we said it earlier on. He then calls around Shock. What is it? Lock, Shock, and Barrel.
And Lock, yeah.
Lock, Shock, and Barrel.
And what's her name? What's the girl's name? They've done the O'Hara.
Catherine O'Hara. That's Tommy from Rugrats, isn't it?
Yeah, but she did as well as in Sally, she did Lock in this.
Yeah.
So, like, this just shows how little money and how little faith they had in the movie, the Disney, that they had characters come in, famous, really like big actors, and do fun. Like, Patrick Stewart was in this movie.
No, he isn't. Is he?
Yeah, he is.
Where?
Like, he done a guest role in it. I don't know what it just says on the cast list that he's here, and he's pictured there. Folks.
I love that. He's just in the background. Hello, my name is Patrick Stewart.
Adam West. Like, your one did Catherine O'Hara. She did like multiple roles. A lot of people did multiple roles.
I don't think that's strange in voice acting though, especially in animation.
Especially for like Catherine O'Hara did Lil as well.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
What else was there? Who else did she do? Did she do what's her name? Angelica. Didn't she do Angelica?
I don't think so.
Maybe. But yeah, it's not uncommon for voice actors to do like multiple voices, so it's not that unusual.
Yeah, I mean, if you think Seth MacFarlane and Family Guy alone, how many voices did he do?
Simpsons, those kind of things. Now we basically have Jack advising Lock, Shock, and Barrel to go off and do something secret, which is basically capture Santa. We need the Santa Claus.
Sandy Claus.
Sandy Claus. It's simple. We get the Sandy Claus. So they head off and have completely no idea what the hell they're going to be doing. They have their little song that... And to be honest with you...
Love, as I said to you before, every fucking song in this movie was brilliant. It was fucking perfectly written for these characters. Fucking brilliant.
I'm not a big fan of this song, in fairness.
Jamie.
Shut the front door. I'm not a big fan of this song because it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and they're just rhyming things with like a very simple tune in the back.
But it's not. It's the fact that they're Oogie Boogie's henchmen, and you see it perfectly in this like song. The fact that they're like getting their fucking axes and like how horrifying they are. Where like the scorpions on your man's fucking head and the bathtub fucking walking. Like, that's some fucking weird shit, like.
Well,
like,
I was just about to say, like, they do look pretty terrifying looking. That guy with the big blue mouth, that's Barrel, isn't it?
But you notice that they look the same without the masks as they do with the masks. Like, that shows that they're, like I was saying, are these kids or are these fucking just, what are they?
But that's the thing, like, there is kids in it. So, how are these people procreating? God damn it.
Can't talk about that. Oh.
I bet Jack gives Sally a bone. Or
it's too easy.
That was too easy. It was too easy.
Yeah. You're better than that, Jamie. You're better than that.
I'm better than that. You deserve more respect from yourself, man.
I can't even look at you right now for making that joke.
I can't even look at you in the camera right now. I'm gonna hide your camera. So yeah, they basically see, this is again the thing. They're like, yeah, no problem, Jack. We'll do this perfectly fine. He's like, don't tell Oogie. He's like, yeah, no problem. And then they just completely ignore him and then go, yeah, we'll just fuck with him and we'll basically... They threaten to kill him.
No account, Oogie Boogie. Keep it mad at this.
But they're basically like frying up spiders in oil and being like, yeah, we're gonna do this to Santa. And I'm like, why? Why do they know what's good and bad?
I don't think Tim Burton has ever been asked the real question about this movie. Like, what was the motive?
I'm gonna have to ask him.
Kind of passed over.
Someone at Tim on Twitter. Wait, Derry, when you're putting this up, when we put this to YouTube,
Timestamp it right now.
Timestamp it right now. Tim, does Jack have any sense of morality? Does he know what the difference between good and bad is? That's what I want. Does anybody in Halloween Town? Because it seems like every other town. Well, we haven't seen Valentine's Day Town or the St. Patrick's Day Town. They probably have no morality either. But they at least know they have no morality. They're getting off on it. Jack, probably he doesn't know. Or does he? Mr. Burton. I'm looking at you, sir.
Mr. Burton.
No, he's not a sir. He's no Patrick Stewart. He's a sir. So yeah, we then get the part where it all starts to kind of kick off. We're basically into Act 3. Into Act 3 now. We had the first part with Jack getting all the exposition for the characters and finding out what they're about, finding out Jack's a little bit sad, and then he finds what he wants to do, Christmas Town. We're into Act 2 after that, and him trying to find out the meaning of Christmas. We don't even know the point of the story at this point. There's no really overarching bad guy. We're already into Act 3. We're kind of into Act 3 now, and we're only kind of being introduced to the bad guy at this part. So, really, for a film, you know, it isn't a traditional have a problem, try and fix the problem, someone try and stops you from fixing the problem, you have to overcome the person and then thus overcoming the problem. Jack creates his own problem by completely misunderstanding everything, carries it out, fails, and then comes back to fix his own mistake effectively. He effectively creates the whole, hey, there you are, you're lovely looking now, Darren.
Lovely looking man, the proper camera now.
There you are.
Just gorgeous. Aren't they just gorgeous?
Gorgeous. So,
what are we saying?
What I'm saying is that it's not a traditional explain the characters, have the problem, look for the solution of the problem, but then someone tries to prevent you from looking from the solution of the problem, and then you overcome the person and the problem at the end. So that's kind of like your 4-act structure. Whereas this, it doesn't run with that. Like, the bad guy is introduced in Act 3, and Jack has put himself in that predicament. So it's like, here's where we start to get into, like, stay in your box from this film, I think. Is like, don't try and look for anything better. And maybe that's just a weird message that I'm getting from it, but it just feels like that's what it keeps coming off as. Don't go out and explore. Or do go out and explore, realize that it's the wrong thing for you, and then just stay here. What is actually funny? No, actually, you know what? Come to think about it, Tim Burton has this kind of as a running theme. Ultimately, Beetlejuice.
Tim Burton doesn't like to go in his box. Tim Burton likes to stay in his comfort zone.
But in Beetlejuice, people were literally sticking to their old routine, staying old-fashioned in a house and never being able to leave again, and that was the happy ending. So maybe this is a running theme for Mr. Burton. But yeah, we get a little bit of a move on. We see that Oogie Boogie is like obviously this bad person or this bad guy, and
I mean, he's a fucking cool guy.
He is actually the coolest.
He is the fucking coolest guy ever.
They throw him then this kind of whole. I love the kind of art style for it. It's like
it's so good.
It's like one of those African kind of masks.
Yeah.
It's the art style in the movie starts to change when they go down to Oogie Boogie, and I like that as well. It kind of gives you a new flavor of everything. You're not stuck in the same thing over again. We're still stuck with that feckin' trio. They hop in a bathtub and then they leave. I don't like them. I'm glad they're gone. I'm trying to skip through this part now. Hang on a second. And then we see a little bit of a shadow of Oogie Boogie again, as we did in the Moon.
Start of it. Yeah.
At the start of it. So the movie starts to actually pick up a little bit of pace now at this point. There's not a lot that really is left in the movie itself. Sally tries to prevent
That does.
he tries to prevent Jack from going off and wanting to do this.
Oh yeah.
So it's like she's like, no, don't go off and do the thing you love because I feel like it's the bad decision. I seen it in a flaming flower.
Tree.
All of the character motivations in this film are very poor for if you think about it. They're really not doing, like, nobody in this film does anything for anybody but themselves. The mayor is selfish. He wants to get elected, but he has no fucking idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
Jack is like the most famous person in town, but doesn't give a shit about anybody and just wants to make everybody do his own thing.
Yeah.
Sally is like poisoning her abusive husband and then tries to stop Jack from actually doing something that, as far as she's aware, is the right thing, effectively, other than her premonitions. So she goes to warn Jack, don't do it, Jack. I had seen it in a dead flower. And he's like, hey, but you haven't seen this cool drawing I did of myself, so, bitch, go sew it for me. He does like a Spider-Man, basically. He draws up his little suit, and as far as I'm aware, was it Aunt May that made that suit in like the original?
In the original Spider-Man?
Yeah, was it Peter Parker that made his own suit?
Oh, Peter made it.
Oh, right, okay. Well, anyway.
Let's not go to Spider-Man now because I have so much to talk about right now. What's going on with the news and the fucking... Let's not go right there, right? Okay.
Let's not. So
talk about like 8 hours of Spider-Man.
We then get Sally, trying basically to have poor old Jack not follow his dreams, and he's like, he basically takes none of it. He's like, don't worry, I'm Santa. That's effectively it. I have a plan. Then the trio come back, and they're like, yep, we got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Mission accomplished. The bunny.
It's the fucking Easter bunny, yeah.
It's the Easter bunny. That doesn't look like Santa at all. They've gone in the completely wrong door. I wish they brought back a leprechaun. I wish they did. And he was like, come on, and he was like, oh, get out of it. Oh, it's punching. Oh, come on now.
Oh, Irish.
So yeah, like the guy with the axe in his head, I love his facial expression. He's just looking down at the rabbit like, doesn't say a thing. I'm like, I love that guy. The rabbit is wearing a sash. Did you notice that? There's like a little sash on.
Why not?
And Jack gets a little bit pissed off and starts apologizing, going, I am so sorry, sir. There's been a huge mistake. Get this man back to where he belongs. Then Jack heads off, and this is where we get to see the doctor creating his new wife.
Yeah, he puts half his brain in her fucking head.
Yeah. And it's like... He's like, finally, at least someone will have something in common with. It's like, you made Sally.
Yeah.
So again, it's like this, like everybody's doing something selfish for themselves.
What does he say? We'll have conversations worth having.
Yeah, it's like,
but you made her. You should her. What are you talking about?
Like, I made you. He says throughout the whole entire film, I made you. And then it's like, I fucking hate you now.
Do you think it's because she's like young and beautiful? She was only made for like one thing.
Yes, because the next one that she makes is like prim and proper and wheels him around in the chair. So
Yeah.
it's like she looks like the Bonnie Boiler type. It's like, I'll have all of his money when he dies. You know, that kind of a... Even though they're all dead, you know, you can't obviously think past the fact that they're dead. But anyway, so he gets to work on the reindeer, and everybody's getting ready in town for making everything look Christmassy. Where did they get all the Christmas stuff? I don't know, but there they go.
I said that today. Where did they get the decorations out of? Where did they come out of?
And how do they know to abbreviate it to Xmas so fast? Sorry, it was not late.
Oh my God! No, actually, one of the books that Jack was reading was called Xmas.
Oh, okay.
Where did he get the books? Christmas Town? Did he just steal all their books?
Robbed everything from Christmas Town.
How will they know what Christmas is if they don't have books in Christmas Town to read about Christmas Town? So now we get the cool little song where everybody's making the toys, and the vampires make the little duck with the teeth. Like I was saying to Derry earlier on, Darren, do they think these are going to be enjoyed? Or are they purposely doing it to harm people?
Well, I think every one of the creatures, people, whatever they call the inhabitants of Halloween Town, are still in the thought of frightening people. But when Jack was like, it can be what did he say? The baby. That's no sound for a baby to make. And your man says, maybe it can be improved on. So I think they're all still trying to scare people, but they don't really understand what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, like I think that's a good point where they say like we can improve it. It's like it's okay. I understand it's maybe fine, but we can make it much better than that.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
But again, they all miss the meaning of it. You know, it's not necessarily the gift in and of itself. It's the giving of the gift.
Yes.
So Jack is delighted. Everybody's ready for Christmas, Halloween. Everybody's getting ready, getting all their presents ready. And then we switch over to Santa again. And everybody in Christmas Town are getting presents ready as well. So our second little shot of like a comparison between what the elves are doing and what Jack's minions or Jack's entourage, I suppose, are doing at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a cool little transition between the differences between what is a nice thing and what is a bad thing. We are kind of, again, given no impression that these are two different sides. Like there's a good side and a bad side. It looks like they're trying to compare them. Like, look, these Christmas Town people and the Halloween Town people are doing the same thing. You know, if it was a film if this was a film, let's say, where Jack was the bad guy and he was trying to ruin Christmas, this would work as a look what they're doing to stop Christmas and look what the Christmas Town people are trying to do to save Christmas. But it doesn't work like that. It looks like it's running in parallel effectively, which I like. So we eventually get Jack about to take off, and Santa also getting captured. Gets stuffed into a sack and then brought back to Halloween Town. Jack is having a little bit of an argument with Sally again, and Sally decides to what's the name of the jar? It's like a fog jar.
Frogworth.
No, the fog.
Oh, I've no idea.
So it's a jar of fog, I believe. And when she releases it, so Santa comes along beforehand, and he kind of looks a little bit Asian. It's like Asian Santa.
Yeah, I think so.
I would say no, but he does. He does look.
It's just a comment. I have no problem with an Asian Santa. I'm okay with it. Well, Santa is Turkish, so that's kind of close to Asia. Santa in this is a bit grumpy.
I mean, too.
He has a legitimate reason to be a bit grumpy, but, you know, he actually is genuinely a bit pissed off with Jack. Like, near the end. He's like, I have to fucking do this shit now. So, there's a long preamble, basically. They go on and on and on and on and on about bits that we've kind of explained already. Santa gets shoved down into the hole for Oogie Boogie, and because that's where he would be safest, technically. Why? I don't know. But he'll be safe. Nobody will find him down there.
Wouldn't that make sure he's comfortable, and Oogie Boogie's is the most comfortable place?
Is that what they say? That it's the most comfortable place?
That is what they say.
So...
It ain't true, though.
It ain't true. We do now get the Oogie Boogie song.
Yeah, we do. The best song in the whole show.
And this is kind of like one of those, again, where you have the big boss that owns a big casino, and this is like his casino club, effectively. You know, that's what, like, it's an old time film that has these particular songs and tropes in them.
Yeah.
After the Oogie Boogie song, anybody want to comment on the Oogie Boogie song?
Loved the animation. I thought the animation on this was probably the best animation in the whole movie.
I like the fact that it's glow in the dark.
UV.
Yeah, it's like all of it's UV, and they have a lot of skeleton artwork. I kind of get it like that Mexican, Spanish, Latin skeletons around the place.
But his movement is especially good in this.
It's like a New Orleans feel almost, you know, that kind of a way.
Yeah, kind of voodoo-y.
Yeah, exactly. Voodoo, exactly. Like even with the mask and everything that's on the with the hole for Oogie Boogie, kind of reminds me a lot of voodoo. They got snake eyes and everything like that. I think, like, kind of obviously the fact that there's lots of snakes and the fact that he gambles. So Sally produces a load of fog, and then everybody's really sad. Jack won't be able to set flight. And then coincidentally, his ghostly dog has a shiny red nose to lead the way. Like very Rudolph. I know, right? So they set sail for the skies of Earth. And how they get there, I've no idea, but they do.
It's just what it is. It is what it is.
No, but it isn't what it is. Because technically, how did they get to Valentine Land by sky?
Well, like, that's another one of those things where you just have to, like, you just have to agree with what they're doing.
No, I don't have to agree. I don't have to agree. 27 years later, I'm allowed to disagree with this film. Sally has her sad song.
If you're agreeing with this, if you're disagreeing with this movie, there's something seriously fucking wrong.
I disagree with Jack. I disagree with Jack in this film highly.
So, like, is the only way to Christmas Land through these doors, or is there another way? Or like, did they fly up in the air, or what the fuck is?
They can't. The only way through Christmas Land can't be through that door, because then how does Santa get to Earth?
Yeah, see, that's the fucking, like, there's questions I don't want to ask because they're just like, no, let's not ask those questions.
Like, is Christmas Town on Earth?
Could be.
Nah, could be is not a definitive answer.
But see, I said this earlier, and because Santa says, have you never heard of peace and love for, what is it?
All men on Earth.
Goodwill on Earth or something, yeah.
And also, here's a question. Why does Jack, like, who are they scaring? Do they get to go into, is it like Monsters, Inc.?
No, I think it's just, I don't know. You're delving too much into it.
You need to come up with answers, dude. That's what I'm asking you, the tough questions.
No, I think it's just, I think it's not.
You watch the backstory on this.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
learning.
Well, I know the way in Christmas Town they have like kids there, and fucking they obviously children throw snowballs and stuff throwing
Yeah, are those
heads
dead children?
there. So I assume in Halloween Town they have kids there. It's like I assume they are like the kids that you see the kids in it like that. Your man has the fucking his eyes sewn shut. Like I presume they're the kids that are being scared, obviously. Or it's like it's more of a celebration than it is a fearful thing in Halloween Town.
Yeah, but they scare people.
Maybe they travel through different doors often to
So
scare
it's
people.
like it is like Monsters Inc. then,
That could be.
right?
Could be
Hey,
there
hey,
could be
hey,
an
Disney.
there.
Hey,
There could be
Disney.
You're plagiarizing yourselves.
Well, oh yeah, no, Disney owned Pixar at the time, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, very good. So we then move on to Jack coming down all the chimneys and scaring the absolute crap out of poor children. Delighted with himself, as the police are being called. This is where you start getting introductions like as adults. You get introductions of adults without the faces. I was just telling Derry earlier on, it's like Charlie Brown. But like you can hear their voices. I like that, the fact that you don't get to basically see their faces. It adds kind of a child element to it, that kind of where you only get to see children and Santa basically.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
So riding around and all the people in the houses start basically, the military are called in. Shit gets real. People start locking their doors. The police are getting fucking phone calls every second about, I don't know, toys coming to life and start attacking their children. So here's the other thing now. So now they're all looking into this big well of water back in Halloween Town about Jack in the sky, and they're all getting worried about him because basically the military are firing mortar shells at his sleigh. There's like air raid sirens. And then we get Jack basically getting blown out of the sky.
Literally blown out of the sky, yeah.
Literally blown out of the sky. We have a little bit of Sally trying to break into Oogie Boogie's place and then trying to capture Santa out again. I don't really know why she does that.
But she's trying to she realized he's the only one to save Jack, but I find it very funny that in the middle of all this you have this whole sexual innuendo thing where
with the leg.
He turns around, he's like, hey. He's rubbing the leg and he's like,
hey baby, tickle tickle tickle, oh tickle tickle tickle.
Very provocative, for a fucking kids.
It's a naked leg that pops out.
It's been a while since I've tickled a leg.
I love the way he flips the fuck out though. He grabs the leg and starts rubbing around the place like nobody dupes Oogie. And turns around and sees Santa being hoisted up by Sally and then captures Sally. So
yeah, and breathes them both in.
Yeah, and again, Sally's motivations aren't oh, better save Christmas. It's better stop Jack from doing his thing. Jack plummets down into a graveyard and then has one of those kind of finale songs that you basically again see in those big musicals. It's very you could see that on stage with the statue.
It's very Broadway.
Very Broadway. I
done? What have I? It's ridiculously Broadway.
But that's what I'm talking about. It just reminds me of those Les Miserables films or whatever, or musicals, where it's very kind of well paced, big voice.
Yeah.
And Danny Elfman, I'm still impressed. So after this, so this is where I kind of lost all respect for Jack. He basically everything I do ends up being wrong, and we know that's not true. So he's just being depressed for no reason, really, isn't he? Seriously, no. He's loved in the town. he's like a huge celebrity, and he's like, oh, everything turns out wrong. I'd never win.
If you hear any celebrities talking, they always say that. It's like Justin Bieber's new song is that lonely song. He's like, about I was on my own, even though I had all this. It's all about being so famous, but I know, yeah.
That's how I felt about Jack. That's how I felt. I was like, oh, poor Jack.
So famous.
Yeah, but you have people like Chester Bennington and, Cornell.
But you can be surrounded by so many people, but feel so lonely, as they all say. And that's obviously what he felt. And I realise I'm talking about a fucking cartoon character.
See, that's where I want you to go, Darren. That's where I want you to go. Yeah. Pull that thread. Pull it.
Yeah, but he was so fucking lonely. But that's what he just wanted. He wanted he was, as I go back to it, he was missing something. He didn't know what he was missing, and this filled the void. Well, he thought it was going to fill the void, but didn't. Clearly.
That's something I haven't thought about before.
Yeah.
Filling a void. It's like he's obsessed with the superficial. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
like if this was a drama, let's say, it's like that his equivalent of going out and trying to do Christmas. It's like he's trying to go to the club all the time. He's trying to get his friends to go out with him, and they're like, nah, we all have children to take care of. Yeah. And they're like, I don't know how to do this thing.
A different type of attention. Like, he wants the attention, but he's not getting it he's not fulfilled from what he's doing. So he goes and tries to find the attention somewhere else in a similar kind of way. He's used to being the person that everyone kind of looks at. And then he goes to Christmas Town and he loves that idea. So he wants to be the person there, which is Santa.
Fulfillment.
Yeah. What?
He's looking for total fulfillment is what he's looking for. And obviously what he's getting from Halloween Town was...
That ain't it.
Well, this is it. Well, it's not, wasn't it? But in the end of it, obviously, he realises everything I needed, I had all along. But it's obviously, again, what you said, it's the grass not always greener.
Yeah, like he thought he needed to get out of the town and go to Earth and make everything perfectly fine, which is my type of Christmas.
Yeah.
So he goes back after realizing that Halloween and Christmas don't really mix that well. It's like oil and water and blood. We get the really, really quick boss battle, effectively. Jack just storms in there. Oogie Boogie's about to dump him into this lava stuff. And out of nowhere, Jack just magics them away out of the table, and then he's on the table.
I love they have the casino kind of the guns. The soldier is shooting the guns, and he's standing on the guns, and that whole scene is.
Well, they're one-armed bandits. Do you not get that? Like the machines, one-armed bandits.
But if you look at it, imagine how hard it was. You look at how that was made, the stop motion. How fucking difficult was that to make?
Well, there was parts where Jack is pulling at Christmas lights.
Yeah,
and that made it look like he was actually pulling something down that had a bounce to it. And it was to do that in stop motion is really difficult because by the time you've already taken all the shots, you could just be out by an inch and it just looks unnatural. So it was done really well. We have the final face-off. We have the cards with the knives, the flippy knives, chip. And then we have the one-armed bandits. They come out, and then Oogie Boogie's about to get shot by them. So Jack jumps up on top of the guns. Yeah. And then Oogie Boogie goes, aha! Now time to release my flying death saw. It perfectly placed along the place. And it cuts off all the hands of the one-armed bandits. Ding, 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 ding. And then he is regretting that decision because now he has a giant saw coming after him. So he hops on top of the big 8-ball in the middle of the room, and a little bit of thread came off, a little wisp of thread. And then all Jack does is just go, ugh. And he puts it in. Oh no, I think it gets caught on one of the spinning things.
He wraps it up on top of the
It's the little thing down below. That's it. And Jack takes the thread, pulls it, And then he starts to unravel, and then he gets stuck in the spinny thing.
So what have you done, my bugs?
There's two cool bits about that. The spinny thing is done in live action. So that's actually done at the same speed. And then everything around it is post-production with stop motion. Imagine how difficult it would have been to make not only a solid figure, but a solid figure with individual moving bugs in that figure, and then make it look like it's moving as well. Really impressively done.
It stands the test time because it's fucking outstanding.
It looks creepy as hell. The fact that when he decomposes down and all of the bugs disappear into the molten little stuff down below, and Sally is delighted. She's shocked and honored to be there. We then get the nice little ending. Oh no, Santa is the one that crushes the bug. It wasn't Sally or Jack. It was Santa all along.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And then we get Santa absolutely pissed off. Someone's on the naughty list this year. Jack doesn't get a thing. Sally's delighted though that Jack is probably not going to do anything any longer in terms of Christmas. And it's up to Santa to save everything. They're like, it's too late. And it's like, well, I'm Santa. I'll fix it all on Christmas. Santa comes along, cleans up all of the horrible gifts and the shrunken heads that people have been given. And then all is well with the world. Jack starts, oh, you know what? Actually, Santa does give them a gift.
He does, of course he does.
It's a gift of snow.
Yeah.
He makes it snow there.
And shit.
Thanks, Santa. We then...
That's at the end of the movie.
Well, Jack and then Sally stand on top of the mountain. That's all, that little spirally mountain. That's all frozen. They have a little bit of a sing-song together. And then they call each other friends as well, again.
Friends.
Yeah, they call each other friends throughout the whole entire film, basically.
They give each other kisses.
They don't have lips.
They.
And you know what? They're probably not even her lips. There's just somebody else's.
I don't know.
So,
something happens.
Yet another film where I like to over-explain everything, and Darren, doesn't like to explain anything. He just mood of the film, and then Derry turned out a fantastic picture. Look at that picture.
If I can get the lights on it right, because pencil.
Fabulous. I'm going to do a zoom in here.
Hang on till I get the.
You got your light all ready?
Hang on, I'm going to block this for a sec.
That's your hand.
Yeah, just getting the focus. So I still want to do, the way you look at Nightmare Before Christmas stuff and everything it's the same art over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Same characters over and over again. So I was like, I loved these weird little presents that they were giving out. Mm-hmm. And I thought...
Again, very Beetlejuicy. I like it.
It fits my style of giving weird Christmas presents. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Ta-da.
So, that's the end of the film, everybody. I hope you had a good night watching us, listening to us.
I was here for some of it.
Darren was here. He's seen some of it. You should watch it. You know what you should do? You should subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you can watch the full thing up there. So, I'm talking to you, Darren.
Oh, well,
you need to watch it back and see what you meant.
Yeah, you have to watch it all back. There'll be an exam at the end of it.
There are bits that you won't like.
Thanks, everybody, for coming along again. We're always broadcasting every Monday at 8 o'clock on Twitch. Friday, the video is up on YouTube between the hours of 12 and 5ish. It'll probably be it'll be about 5 o'clock this week. So go onto YouTube, subscribe, pop on. We're probably going to be doing something a little bit different with the format this time. These are long podcasts, and we would like to cut them down into maybe shorter forms as well. So we'll have a look at doing that. But any suggestions that you have, do let us know. Comment down below. Come onto the Twitch. You can sit there and not say anything, or you can chip into the channel if you want. You can comment and disagree or agree. Maybe you could tell me I'm wrong. Maybe you could agree with Darren and shout me out of the conversation. I would like that. I'd like, to be maybe proved wrong. It hasn't happened yet, but it hasn't happened yet. I'm going to turn your camera off, Derry. Goodbye. So thanks again for joining us.
You can't mute me.
Next week, we will be watching my film. And my film pick is It's a Wonderful Life. If you haven't watched It's a Wonderful Life, watch it. It's a wonderful film. Merry Christmas, movie house! Watch it. Jimmy Stewart. One of my favorite Christmas films. Watch the black and white version. Don't watch the colored version.
I've never seen it, so I'm watching it with you.
You can watch it with us. And I'll tell you all about it. There's a big story with communism and Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, no.
You'll love it. It's great, because there's another film that I watched that he had to make because of that film, and it was horrible. Well, it wasn't horrible, but it was bad. So we'll see you again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Monday, 8 p.m. GMT. That's Greenwich Mean Time. Or if you want to be fancy, do we have an Irish Standard Time? IST?
UTC is like Universal Internet Time, so UTC is actually the same as GMT.
Yeah, UTC. It sounds like a urinary tract infection, doesn't it? So join us here next Monday, 8 p.m. GMT, UTC. Enjoy yourself. Have a lovely rest of your week. And yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.